to boost adventure tourism in Nepal. Oh, in starting days, I faced very difficult because I have no sponsors. But Migmaji, again, Migmaji is like my brother. He helped me a lot, and yes, if I'm here this time in Nepal, and I into because of him, he's helped like his brother, and Alhamdulillah, I hard worker, and God give me a opportunity, and he give me success one by one, and yeah, now I am here. And after my 6th peak, I got first sponsors, local sponsor from Pakistan. And now, till now, I have because before 6th, I visited 2 times in Nepal. Once Manasi, once Lhotse. So yeah, that time Migmaji gave me an opportunity to come to Nepal and climb with my company, and I already 2 trainings from here, me and Abdul Joshi and Suhail from Pakistan. So in future, yes, but now I am getting old. So yeah, my plan is like this. I want to introduce IFMGA in Pakistan, the most important thing. We have no single one, IFMGA certified single one. So we need to establish some schools, some training centers. And yeah, I work with as a guide. Yeah, it's different question. I think so. I don't like even too much branding, but I work as a ground level to establish one school, and more people to involve in climbing, because we have potential. We have 8,000 or 6 and 7,000, even in Pakistan, unclimbed peaks also. So I want to try to establish one good school, and yes, I have some. I already start my book. So yeah, we are thinking about also a documentary, good documentary, not like maybe 20% little bit up and down, but 80% I want natural to try focus. Natural, not like fake. Good friend, my partner, Saad Munawar, he's just 3 days before he climbed from north side, Everest. He's the first Pakistani to climb from north side. From north side. So yeah, he's nice writer also. So we together. So from when humans are approached and interfere in the nature, yeah, there are vast. But we need to clean, because you saw nowadays last 3-4 years climate change, like we don't understand what happened on whole. But we have big glaciers. The most affected areas, I think, in Nepal and Pakistan, because we have big glaciers like Siachen, Himalaya here, Siachen, Baltoro, Biafo. So we need to protect also our glaciers.
Pakistani climbers today here, and this is also a shared heritage of Pakistan and Nepal, that out of 14 8,000ers, 13 of us, 13 we share between us. And K2 in Everest, you can see on the plaque that is also on the right on my wall, that we share this heritage. And recently I also congratulate Nepal for holding Sagarmatha Samvad, which highlighted that ecology and the mountains' fragile ecology is not a given, and we need to do something to protect it. And in doing so, I think we celebrate our climbers, and we also celebrate those who are preserving it and the geography of the region. Climbers, some of them are here, they can also join them, and then they can have a joint expedition both to K2 and Everest.
Votekosi and Trisuli river rafting. Rafting has lately been gaining popularity among tourists. The adventure sports, which previously was popular only among foreigners, is now drawing the local tourists as well. Trisuli and Votekosi rivers that are close to Kathmandu are two popular destinations for rafting in Bagmati province. Let us first explore Votekosi. Whitewater rafting at Votekosi river is included among the 10 best adventure destinations for rafting in the world. Votekosi, which is well facilitated with food and accommodation, can be a great destination for rafting and other adventure sports. Rafting at Trisuli river is popular among domestic tourists, as the location can be reached in an hour from Kathmandu. This is where most tourists go for rafting in Nepal. Rafting packages of Votekosi and Trisuli are appropriate for those who want to spend some good time for a few days.
Welcome to Declassified Beyond the Brief with me, Devendra Subedi. Today we bring you the story from the alleys of Kathmandu to NASDAQ, which is the US stock exchange. The gentleman we have with us today recently hit headlines in Nepal as a successful entrepreneur whose company, Fuse Machines, a company working in the field of artificial intelligence, which we call AI, made its debut at the NASDAQ, or the US stock exchange. In this episode of Declassified, we try to explore the journey of a successful Nepali in global business arena. Artificial intelligence itself, changing trends in global business world, Nepali identity abroad, and much more.
Dr. Samir Maske, a change maker, computer scientist and educator, has spent his career at the crossroads of innovation and education. He believes artificial intelligence isn't just transforming industries, it's reshaping opportunity itself. In 2013, he founded Fuse Machines, a New York-based company with a bold mission to democratize AI and make its benefits accessible to all. Though headquartered in the United States, its roots and much of its talent remain deeply connected to Nepal, where the company first launched its AI fellowship program, training local engineers and students in cutting-edge technology. Over the past decade, Fuse Machines has empowered thousands of AI learners and built advanced solutions across finance, healthcare, retail, and media, bridging academics and industry. Its proprietary platform, AI Studio, drives predictive and generative AI systems, helping businesses automate decisions, detect fraud, and make sense of data at scale. Listed on NASDAQ in October 2025, Fuse Machines reached a valuation of about $200 million. From Kathmandu to New York, Dr. Maski's vision proves that innovation and education can bridge worlds, turning intelligence into opportunity.
Please welcome Dr. Samir Maske, founder and CEO of Fuse Machine.
Thank you for having me here.
Dr. Maske, is the joy of being listed in NASDAQ still soaking in?
Definitely. It was a very long, arduous, hard journey to get listed in NASDAQ. And it's a relief, obviously. And it's slowly sinking in that we're actually now listed in NASDAQ and we're a public company.
So we're pretty lucky because we caught you in person here in Kathmandu, because you're basically based in your headquarters in New York. Is it a holiday trip after that success?
It's partly holiday trip, partly work. So my family, my mother, sister, brother, or basically pretty much all of my extended family is here. So I'm here to see them. And then because how difficult the process was, the usual trips I used to make months of times a year, I had not been able to make it for almost last 12 months to see all the colleagues and employees here in Nepal office. So part of it is just coming back to see everyone and see all the colleagues in Fuse Machines, Nepal.
It will be an interesting conversation with Dr. Samir Maske, but initially what we're going to do is we are going to go to the roots of Dr. Maske. Let's start with your journey, Dr. Maske. Can you tell us more about your journey from the alleys of Kathmandu, I'd prefer to say it, to NASDAQ?
Definitely. So I was born and raised in Nepal. Yeah, so as a child, I would run in the gullies of Tamil. That's where I grew up. I went to school here. Finished my SLC, it's called ACE now, and the ISE, and now it's mostly plus 10 plus 2 and A-levels and so forth. So I finished my ISE, taking science as a subject. And during my last year, I applied for colleges in the US. I got a scholarship into a few colleges, and that's when my journey to the United States started. Went to the US, to Bates College. It's a small college up in Maine, and studied math and physics, and then went on to do a PhD in AI because I was interested in computer science. I was interested in making machines talk, making machines understand us. And so that research passion led me doing a PhD, after which I joined IBM Watson Research Center, where I continued to do research on speech-to-speech translation system, like English to French, German, Chinese, Arabic, many different kinds of speech-to-speech translation systems, question answering systems, deep question answering systems and whatnot. And as I did that for quite a while, after some time, I left IBM and then started teaching AI courses at Columbia University, and then also started Fuse Machines, which was also based on basically all the learnings I had done on AI and thinking about how to turn that into a business.
It is an interesting fact that Dr. Samir Maske is currently an adjunct associate professor at the University of Columbia teaching AI. So it's not just business, right? Can you tell us more about how your academics helped you build a business?
Education has been very close to my heart for a long time. My mom was a school teacher, it's a Bhagwan Bal, as this primary school. So I'd seen her teach all these kids. And when I used to come back from school, I could see her teaching and so forth, and would wait outside. So And I've seen over the years how education, the students she has taught to all these kids have grown up now and are successful in their own businesses or education and so forth. So academia has always been very close and always been very interested in it. And that's why I ended up doing a PhD. Like research was a passion, knowledge was a passion. So because of that, when I was in my undergrad and I was studying math and physics, I wanted to build a speech synthesis system. And that led me to a library where I found a book and then started reading about it and taught myself how to build a speech synthesizer. And that started my academic journey on AI, like almost 25 years ago.
So you started your journey into AI, doing research, your academics in AI almost 25 years ago.
Yes, when nobody cared about AI. Right now, AI is, like everybody talks about AI, but 25 years ago, nobody cared. And it was just sheer interest on how things work as an engineering field.
I'd be wrong if I say your interest was only in IT at that time. In fact, 25 years ago, you were already targeting your zeroing on your interest area as AI then 25 years ago.
Yes. In fact, the first, I had built this Nepali text-to-speech synthesizer, which is making machines talk in Nepali. And I released it as an open source software. I did a presentation at NAST, at the time RONAST, and I gave a presentation on how to build a Nepali speech synthesis, like making machines speak in Nepali. And that was 24 years ago.
How was the reaction after that? Did anybody come back and consult you and try to develop that into a new thing in Nepal?
It was good, like then at the moment but it didn't materialize into anything else out of it. So we released that open source. But Nepal was pretty far behind in computer science, IT, especially 20-something years ago. There was barely internet, right? And a lot of the talent we have, who has exposure, was not there yet. So nobody really knew what to do with it. You know, somebody came, presented Nepali speech synthesis system. Okay, it sounds great, but how to use it here, how to build on it, none of that happened. So that software just stayed there in the shelf.
Before starting your own company, you worked for some world-renowned companies. When exactly did you decide it's time now for me to start my business?
So after PhD, I worked at IBM Watson Research Center as a research staff member for a few years. And as I mentioned, it was that interest of building speech-to-speech translation system, and IBM had one of the best speech-to-speech translation system research group at the time. And as I did research and published papers and did more research and published papers, it came to a point where I saw, well, I've been doing research by then I'd been doing research for almost 15 years. And we're doing research and publishing. Like, it's not really impacting lives in the scale that I wanted. So after about 5 years after working at IBM, I said, okay, can I take all the learnings in AI I've been doing since like early 2000 to this is like 2013, 2012, can I take all of that and apply into a business and start a company, build an AI product and sell it, to build a business around it so that it can have impact? And that's sort of what I did.
In the next part of the conversation, we'll talk about the Fuse machines itself. Well, Dr. Maski, if I don't ask you these questions, maybe I'll not be doing justice to my viewers as well. How rich are you at this moment?
It all depends on how one perceives wealth, right? At the end of it, what matters is the family and health. For me, that's the most important thing, the family and being there and making an impact and so forth. The total market cap for the deal was 200 million. Post money is 280 million. And the opening, at that opening had $10. It has gone down and it's opened at less. So as the share prices move back and forth, you know, it could come down, it could go up, and so forth. But it's no longer just me, right? It's all of our employees, many of our employees are shareholders, a lot of the investors are shareholders.
Is it possible for a Nepal-based company to be enlisted globally, like in NASDAQ or in other global share market or stock exchanges? Is it possible? It has to be US-based.
I think from legality perspective, at least Nepal laws do not allow a fully Nepali company to be listed in NASDAQ because of some of the old rules and laws around Nepali citizens' rights of owning foreign assets and foreign shares and so forth. If that changes, then definitely so. As of right now, it has to be, at least as of right now, if there are companies that are headquartered in the US and is based in the US, but have significant presence and have origins in Nepal, they can definitely list in NASDAQ.
So you are the first company that was founded by a Nepali person of Nepali origin to be enlisted in NASDAQ. How big is it?
I would say, being the company that has, basically we have a lot of presence in here. We are Nepali roots, Nepali values, and so forth. And from that perspective, being one of the first company to have such level of roots and ties to Nepal and being listed in NASDAQ is extremely satisfying, obviously. And I hope it becomes an example for other companies to strive and be listed in NASDAQ or other New York, other stock exchanges. And I hope we are the first among many to do that.
What's your next business plan? Like, you are spreading slowly into a global business. You are already in South America, in some of the countries in North America, Canada, US, also Nepal-based, you said. So what's your next plan to promote the business globally?
Especially as a public company, growth is one of the most significant metric that everybody looks at us from, right? So from that perspective, one of the biggest focus would be growth. Both organic growth with our own team doing more sales and so forth, and with inorganic growth as well, with potential acquisitions and M&A activities and so forth. As far as the scaling out from just the US and Nepal, we've already on multiple countries, and we will continue to expand based on the needs of the clients, based on where we see the most value being generated and where the growth from sales happens.
There must have been challenges in the journey. Right now, as you said, you started it in 2013, almost 12 years of hard work, promotion, dedication, vision, innovation, as you said, right? As I have seen, as I saw myself, most of the Nepalese or Nepali diaspora in the US, I found a lot of youngsters working in the field of IT. So what are the challenges for, let's say, Nepali youngsters in the US or even in Nepal to build a business in IT or AI at present? What are the major challenges that you would suggest they should resolve those first?
Particularly in Nepal?
Nepal, as well as the Nepali diaspora in the US who want to emulate your steps.
I would say Nepali diaspora has starting a company is not easy, obviously, but if you look at the challenges, the youth in Nepal, they are faced with more challenges on trying to start a business and scale it. I would say there are various reasons for it, and there are many kinds of challenges. And one of the biggest challenges I would say is on funding. Because especially as a smaller company, as a smaller startup, you do need funding to sustain the company as you try to figure out product market fit, service market fit, and you need to be able to sustain that while you might not be making a lot of revenue. Especially if you want to go for, solving very extremely hard problems, you might not have a revenue coming in soon. In those cases, places like the United States or other countries, there's more capital, there's more risk capital available where the investors may take a chance saying, okay, let's see where this can lead to, where you are able to take the risk and really build a very strong suite of products without having a clear revenue model right from the day one. But obviously all businesses require revenue models, but you get longer time to do that. In Nepal, there is not a lot of financing mechanisms for an entrepreneur to stay afloat while they are taking this risk and building these extremely difficult products. So that's one of the biggest challenges I see.
For an innovation like AI, IT, initially to be an enterprise has to have an impact. In Nepal, where IT still is, I would not say a luxury right now, because we do have access almost across the country right now, though intermittent at times. So what challenge do you see in a country like ours, where you would see more and more IT-based company, AI-based companies emerging?
So besides the capital, I think compute infrastructure is there's not, for example, even we struggle to find enough GPUs. And for AI, you need a lot of GPUs and compute power to build these models, train these models, inference, and to do an inference and so forth. And if we want the tech infrastructure and the overall tech ecosystem in Nepal to really produce a lot of tech companies, IT companies that are building products for Nepal, in Nepal, for Nepalese, then the compute infrastructure needs to be figured out. And that has not been done so. So I think that's one of the challenges. There are other challenges, obviously, from intellectual property laws and so forth, right? Like in a lot of more developed countries, some of these laws are more fine-tuned, so nobody can just do whatever they want, and if they're infringing copyrights and so forth, some of those needs to be also tightened up, so that somebody who's taking that risk and building something has some capacity to say, this is what I built and this is my intellectual property.
Going back to Fuse Machines, Dr. Maske, what makes a great company? Fuse Machines, let's say, where would you rank in the scale of a great company from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
I do not know how to rank the company that I started. But what I can say is, for any company, one of the most crucial factor is the culture of the company, on how everybody comes together to do something very big. And in order to do that, one of the most important stuff is vision. Like, what is the overall vision of the company? So I think the vision brings about the clarity on where you want to go. And the culture is part of the main DNA of the company that makes a company exciting to work for, exciting to join, exciting to build things for. And those parameters makes a great company.
So if I say it's great visionary leadership, backed up by a very creative and ethical workforce, that makes a great company. Would I be wrong?
Yeah, I think that is a good way to sum it.
So Fuse Machine is right in that track. Would you say that?
So we have amazing set of leaders in the company who are unified in the vision of democratizing AI, and that thesis of what we believe in, of making sure, especially talent is everywhere, but opportunities are not, and opportunities should be, and having that clarity on that vision and all the leadership seeing that and creating the culture needed for the company to fulfill that dream. I think that makes the Fuse Machines be able to execute things the way we want, that has allowed us to be at this stage.
How is the work culture, as you said, like how multinational is the team right now in Fuse Machines?
Oh, very much. So, there are many languages get spoken. We are across quite a few countries in Latin America as well. We have employees in India, consultants in India. We have largest presences in Nepal. Then we're in Canada. So there's a mix of different cultures and languages, which makes it very exciting
to work as and to lead it as well.
Yes.
Well, very inspiring story of Dr. Samir Maske. That's what we are hearing right now, right here at the studios of NTV World. And in the next part of this conversation, we talk about Dr. Samir Maske as an international Nepali citizen, the flag bearer of Nepal in the global market. Dr. Maske, you have emerged as a Nepali flag bearer in the global business arena, but the emergence of your, let's say, emergence was remained a pleasant surprise to many in Nepal. It was very quiet journey. We only came to know about your fuse machines, Dr. Samir Maske, very few. But how did you keep it so quietly? Did you do it intentionally quietly?
I mean, we've been building the business for almost 12, 13 years. And when you are truly trying to fulfill your vision, it's never about, you know, it's never about marketing and brand and stories and whatnot. It's about the overall ethos of what you're trying to do, which is impact lives, bring job opportunities, provide high quality education. So we've been doing that for a while because that's the core mission of Fuse Machines. And as we have done it, people have heard about some of the fellowship programs we have done. So we started AI Fellowship, Fuse Machines AI Fellowship, almost 7-8 years ago. I took some of my courses and packaged it and then taught it here to a surprisingly amazing results, which allowed us and said, okay, we should take that and make it a full-blown AI Fellowship program. Mm-hmm. And now, especially among young youth who are trying to learn AI, they know the AI Fellowship program quite well. Whenever we open the fellowship programs, we get thousands of applicants. So, it's among the community of AI and engineers, people do know about Fuse Machines, mm-hmm. but probably maybe not in a broader Nepal view.
Anyway, it has been a very successful journey, but can you define success now? It's a very, let's say, ambiguous question I might be asking, but for you, what is success? How can you define it, relating it to you personally?
So, success, the word success could mean different things for different people, right? Depending on the age, depending on where you're at the stage of life and so forth. For a young kid, passing that final exam and getting 100% is the success. For a global world leader, impacting millions of lives is probably a success. So it means different things for different people. If I had to think about that word itself, what comes to my mind is family, being there for them. My wife, my kids, my mother, my sister, brother, and so forth, and being there when they need me, and being able to share the experience as a whole together is a success.
Has it changed you a bit, the success that you've achieved in the last few years, especially after, let's say, the enlisting in the US stock exchange? Has it changed you personally? Has your life changed, or it's still the same?
No, nothing has changed. It is still the same. I mean, there's been a bit of exposure here, and there's been news articles and whatnot, but no, nothing has changed on a day-to-day life.
Well, Dr. Maske, being a Nepali citizen originally, was it difficult or easier for you to work in the US, especially when you were trying to build up a business?
US is a melting pot of pretty much all citizens around the world, of all ethnicity, races, and so forth. I went as a very young kid, right, right after high school, and it didn't make as much of a difference, especially when you are among the students who are all there to study. Nepal definitely has that charm for a lot of people, where they learn about Mount Everest, they learn about the culture here and so forth. From a perspective of having deep roots and values that have been instilled to me by my mom and the family has definitely helped, right? The transparency, truth, ethics, these are hospitality, these are some of the values that you learn in Nepal when you grow up. And those have definitely helped me in a global world on being able to compete.
So your roots have definitely helped you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Nepali roots have absolutely helped me.
We are just talking about the journey the dedication, the hard work that Dr. Samir Maske and his team, the multinational team behind the success of the Fuse machine, put up in these 13 years for the investment in NASDAQ. Now, in the next part of our conversation, we talk about AI, which I am a novice in, and to much of our viewers must be more interesting because they are much into it. How would you define AI, the artificial intelligence, Dr. Maske, being a practitioner and in fact a person who has built up a business, a very successful one in it? How would you define AI? What exactly is AI?
You can think of it as a machine that takes input, does a reasoning on it, and produces an output that is useful for humans. If I were to define it in the simplest form, that's what it would be. That reasoning system that sits in the middle, taking input and producing outputs that's useful for humans.
Is it still an evolving technology, or it's at its peak? In the next 5 years, how would it evolve, if it's evolving?
It is still very evolving. And the pace of evolution, or the change in AI and the tech behind AI, is unlike I've ever seen before. Right? Like, I did research in question answering system. The natural language processing world has been my life from PhD to at IBM to teaching, all of that. But over the last 5 years, suddenly everything has changed in AI. A lot of things have changed. So the speed at which AI is changing is extremely rapid, and it will continue to do so. Definitely there is a little bit of overhype where people think, like when I talk to some enterprise C-suite, they think, they may have heard and read and whatnot, and they think everything under the sun can be solved with AI, which is not the case. But it can do a lot at the moment.
Where do you see the technology in the next 5 years?
So,
especially, I'm asking you this question because there's a few people like me who do not have much information about AI. We fear as if it is going to replace human intelligence, or even job loss, or let's say loss of privacy. These are some of the issues that we basically fear. So is that a valid fear in us?
Some of it could be valid from a perspective of, maybe not in 5 years, but in 10 years, are all the cars going to drive itself, right? And I was just in San Francisco recently, and
that's already a reality there.
It's already a reality. I ordered a Waymo, which is similar to Uber, but it's a driverless car. A car just came near me, the door opened, I sat inside, and it just took me a route, stopped and opened and got out. There was no driver. So now that tech is evolving very fast, and more cities are producing that. Now that could generate a genuine questions to all the people who are making their livelihood based on driving cars or driving, like providing this.
Or the Uber service, let's say,
Uber
to be specific in the US.
Now, should they be worried a bit?
They are worried, because I had a very interesting conversation with some of the people in LA itself who are in this service. So they were pretty much worried, especially the diaspora, Nepali diaspora, or the people who are relying to that. So that could be a possibility?
That could definitely be a possibility. So there are jobs where it could potentially be fully automated. But having said that, I would say AI brings in a lot of augmentation and efficiency gains, which will not necessarily replace the human, but produce a lot more efficient human, almost like a superhuman, where the person will be able to do more jobs in less amount of time. And that efficiency gains could impact overall economic output, which could then generate a lot more new kind of jobs, right? Like already there is prompt engineering, which does not exist before. AI audit, like auditing AI models, those kind of jobs did not exist. So there are new jobs already being created. So I think that will happen as well.
How foolproof is it, Dr. Maske? Can we 100% rely on it?
Foolproof as in, will it always be accurate? And I mean, depends on the problem that it is working on.
Since you're talking about auditing, for example,
yeah.
So would it be 100% correct in that sense?
At least probably, if you try to build an AI audit system at this point, it probably will not. And in many cases, it might never be 100%, because we as humans also make error.
Or the people like you would like to leave some space for the humans there as well?
No, the thing is, the AI is just learning from humans. And when it's learning from humans, if the training data has certain amount of ambiguity, then it will also not be able to separate out some of those ambiguities, in which case it will make those errors. So in many cases, you will see 95% accuracy or 96%. In some instances, it has gone to 99%. But if you look at enterprise AI being built right now, in many cases, it is actually 90% or less than 90%, right? So there's still a decent amount of progress that we need to do to make AI what I quote unquote foolproof, which is not the case for every instance right now.
Well, enlighten me on this particular question, Dr. Maske. People like me who are still a novice, or people like many of our viewers who are pretty much, let's say, a novice in AI, will they be a misfit in near future in the society?
Misfit as in?
In terms of everything, because we are taking assistance for AI, as you said earlier, could be a misinterpretation or misuse of the technology itself, for each and everything, from students doing their homework to designing mega projects. We have heard AI can be used and is being used. So if you do not know how to get acquainted with it, or if you're not acquainted with it, will that person be a misfit soon in the society?
Yeah, I would say as the AI evolves and it produces these tools that we can use for efficiency gains and so forth, the more and more people should learn how to use some of these tools, because if you don't use it, I don't know if misfit is the word, but you will be left behind, right? Because somebody else who has a similar job or role and academic credentials, if knows how to be 50% or 100% more efficient because he or she knows how to use the tools, then obviously that person has an advantage.
Let's move on to one of the slogans of your company, Dr. Maske. Democratizing AI is one of the slogans of your company, Fuse Machines. Can you tell us more about it? Why AI needs democratization? And what does that slogan exactly mean?
For us, it means providing AI education, high quality AI education in all the underserved countries and communities around the world and in the United States. And providing that access to AI such that everybody is able to learn AI and build AI for their own communities. That's what democratized AI means for us.
So your company is championing that. How much of that contribution your company has started making in, let's say, making it more accessible in every nooks and corners of this world, let's say?
So we've been doing AI fellowship as part of the democratizing AI effort in Nepal. We've done in a few countries in Africa, we've done in Latin America, we've done in the United States. So we've been providing this free education as part of that mission and journey. In Nepal, we've been doing fellowship programs for quite a while, and we launched a program called AI Shiksha for Nepal as part of this democratizing AI effort. And we will continue to do so. And the hope is AI Shiksha for Nepal program will, through that program, we'll be able to provide AI education to many, many, many students here in Nepal.
What is the contribution of a country like Nepal in the global AI ecosystem?
It can make a lot of contribution.
That's a meaningful statement. It can make.
Yes, it can make a big contribution, a very meaningful contribution to the in the global stage of AI. And I would say that partly because of the talent here. There is a lot of talent who can be trained in AI and who can produce both services and product for the world. Services, obviously, outsourcing services and other kind of services can be done here from Nepal. But beyond that, I think the talent is so good that if we just train them a bit more and make them competitive enough for a global stage, then they will be able to build products right here in Nepal for the world. In which case, you will have products built in Nepal sold out all outside of Nepal and in Nepal. And I think that will be a global contribution. But beyond that, even for Nepal, I think there are a lot of AI products that could be built in Nepal for Nepal by Nepali engineers. And I think that will be amazing to see in the coming months, years, and the decade.
My question is, the ethical use of AI, how would you promote it and advocate it, given that your slogan, democratizing AI, is also trying to spread it across? So does that promote the ethical use of AI or the random use of AI?
So when we do provide AI education, we talk, one of the chapters and sections is about ethics, AI ethics and AI policies and so forth. And this is a very important question because AI is impacting a lot of lives and it's starting to automate a lot of things. And as you said, some people might lose jobs, some people might not be happy about this. But in total, net, I think there's a lot of good that is coming. But even then, ethics and how AI and the data privacy sort of interacts with it, and do we have right policies on data privacies? Do we have right laws mandated on face recognition? So those are some of the very important questions that we need to address. And I think many countries are starting to catch up to the tech, right? Because the tech's so speeding ahead that a government, federally, locally, are still doing a catch-up game on policies, right? And to give you an example, there was a law passed a while ago that, not in Nepal, outside of Nepal, that if you are using an AI system to filter resumes for more than 50%, that model needs to be audited. But what does model auditing, AI model auditing even means, and who's going to do it? None of that was clear, right? So that created a situation where people were confused. So I think, especially things related to AI and the ethics of AI, there needs to be more study. There needs to be more policymakers who has also studied AI, spend time on it, and figure out how all of this intersection needs to be untangled to make sure AI is impacting lives for better and not necessarily for worse.
We see a lot of misuse of AI, let's say defaming someone, infringing into privacy of someone. So could there be a system within the AI itself that could stop things like that?
If not fully stop, at least identifying misinformation, fake videos, fake pictures, those are some of the new AI systems being built. We are all, because we have had some issues where, for example, the candidates, especially when we are hiring remote engineers, the person who interviewed versus person who applied and who started working were all different. And we didn't catch fast enough until they got onboarded. And then we realized, oh, the person who's attending the meeting doesn't look anywhere like the person who interviewed, right? And we are playing that catch-up. And that playing that catch-up requires actually additional kind of AI systems, which will also help us to catch fake videos and fake interviewers, like job interviewers who are interviewing with generated faces in the interviews, and so forth. So to catch the systems, we need, it's the AI system generating the problems, but at the same time, we need AI systems to help us catch those problems as well.
And that needs greater investment, as you said, greater enforcement. For example, kids as young as, let's say, 10, 12, were exposed to AI tools, are not aware about the ethical use of AI, because the system that they are exposed with would be the cheaper one, readily available one, free to use one, which are more onto attracting users and generating money out of that. So can there be a system within the AI to control things as such?
Yeah, definitely. I think there is verification systems coming in place. And I think even the large language model systems like ChatGPT and others are coming up with a framework on how to give a safe access to kids of certain ages, below 13, below 9, below 18, and so forth. So those could be built in.
Very interesting conversation. We're talking to Dr. Samir Maske, founder and CEO of Fuse Machines. adjunct associate professor at University of Columbia, teaches artificial intelligence, which could replace you and I tomorrow unless we get to learn about it, unless we learn more and more about it. We are trying to conclude this conversation now. Dr. Samir Maske, what message do you have to the aspiring Nepali entrepreneurs who want to build businesses around AI, IT, and go globally as you?
What I would say is, for aspiring entrepreneurs here, you have the talent, you have skills that are equally competitive to any other aspiring entrepreneurs around the world. And if you aspire to build an AI company, you should absolutely go for it and build it and start a dream here, but I'm pretty sure many will be able to take it to the global stage. So you should just absolutely go for it.
Final thought on the political changes that the country has seen, if any you want to make?
There's been a lot of changes over time, and some of the frustrations have boiled up to a level where it brought about this change. And this puts us at a beginning stages of being able to bring a new kind of processes, new kind of developments, and a new energy in the youth that hopefully will energize the whole government. And hopefully with the new election coming in, we'll have a new government set up that will work for all Nepali citizens for the greater good of Nepal.
Dr. Samir Maske. Dr. Maske, it was a great pleasure for NTV World Studios to have you on Declassified. Wish you more luck, and maybe you would be able to make your company more global next time we meet again. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, we had a very inspiring conversation with Dr. Samir Maske, the founder and CEO of Fuse Machines. Hope this conversation inspires all the budding entrepreneurs who would like to follow his footsteps, if not being better than what he has achieved so far. Well, do keep us following on our social media platforms, our Facebook page, our X page, our TikTok handle, and also on our website, www.ntvworldnepal.com. Until next time, from this episode of Declassified, bye-bye.
कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन।
अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड। रमाइलो आउने। यस 2 1 बन्जी।
डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो, जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ।
लेट्स गो।
This is the story of Dilip Sapkota and Sisir Dahal, two wheelchair daredevils who challenged their physical limitations by jumping nearly 200 meters. They weren't just attempting a bungee jump, they were making history by attempting a bungee jump in their wheelchair. The location was the famous The Last Resort, offering adventurous thrill over Bhotekosi River in Sindhupalchok district of central Nepal. From the launch pad, a suspension bridge over the river, a free fall 160 meters down the gorge. This bridge had been the launch pad for the courageous and adventure seekers for years. But on this day, the jump was not just about adrenaline rush, but also about defiance, about breaking the barriers. Dilip, a fierce advocate for inclusive tourism, has spent years pushing boundaries, paragliding, ziplining, even bungee jumping without a chair.
म अपङ्गता भइसके पछाडि म आफूलाई कसरी रिफ्रेस बनाउने त, म आफै चाहिँ कसरी ह्याप्पी हुन्छु भनेर आफैले आफैलाई बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले घुम्दा ट्राभलहरू गर्दा एडभेन्चरहरू गर्दा अझ म बढी आफै खुसी भएको पाएँ। अनि त्यस पछाडि चाहिँ मलाई मैले प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरेँ। प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरिसके पछाडि बन्जी पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्यो अनि मैले बन्जी गरेँ। बन्जी गरेपछि होइन अब यो बन्जीलाई पनि एकचोटि व्हिलचेयरमा पनि बन्जी गर्नुपर्छ हैन। नेपालमा म चाहिँ अपङ्गता भएका साथीहरूले चाहिँ एडभेन्चरकोमा चाहिँ अलिक पछाडि देखिने, उहाँहरू खासै त्यति धेरै एडभेन्चरहरू गर्नलाई त्यस्तो खेलहरू खेल्नलाई डराउने, यस्तो हुन्छ उस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने उहाँहरूको चाहिँ मेन्टालिटी पनि थियो र ती मेन्टालिटीलाई पनि चिर्नुपर्छ मैले। यो सकिन्छ, हामीले पनि खेल्न सक्छौँ, गर्न सक्छौँ र एउटा चाहिँ समावेशी पर्यटनलाई पनि यो एउटा वकालत पनि हुन्छ। नेपाल सरकार लगायत सम्बन्धित निकायलाई यो वकालतको पनि एडभोकेसी पनि गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने उद्देश्य राखेर मैले चाहिँ बन्जी गरेको।
Sisir, an agricultural entrepreneur living with spinal paralysis, has turned his challenges into advocacy.
म अनेस्टली भन्नुपर्दा यो चाहिँ पुरै अनप्लान्ड नै हो हैन। जति पनि मेरो लाइफमा म जति पनि एडभेन्चर अथवा गर्छु हैन, त्यति धेरै प्लान गरेर चाहिँ गर्दिम भनेपछि गर्दिम भन्ने टाइपले चाहिँ यसको लागि चाहिँ म विशेष धन्यवाद हाम्रो दिलीप सरलाई म दिन चाहन्छु है। उहाँले मलाई थाहा नै नदिकन ल आज जाम भनेर भन्नुभयो। मैले आज भोलि हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्दैछौँ भनेर हिजो दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि, हामी काठमाडौँबाट हिँडेको मान्छे दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि थाहा पाएको। सो अब गरौँ न त, आइसक्यो भनेर चाहिँ हैन एउटा अनुभव पनि हुन्छ लाइफमा। हामी जस्तो अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिले पनि गर्न सकिन्छ है भन्ने टाइपले हैन। अनि त्यहाँबाट अरूलाई मोटिभेट गर्नलाई साथसाथै अब आफ्नो पनि एउटा रिफ्रेसमेन्टको लागि चाहिँ अब आज हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्न जाँदैछौँ।
Together, the goal was clear: to inspire thousands and redefine what people with disabilities can achieve. A wheelchair bungee jump was no ordinary feat. It demanded innovation, precision, and absolute commitment. The team designed a secure rigging system, checked every bolt and knot, ensuring the wheelchairs and harnesses could withstand the extreme forces.
सेट बाबु खासै त्यस्तो डिफ्रेन्ट त होइन। उहाँहरूको अब स्पेसल अलिकति समस्या भएर त्यो अनुसारको सेफ तरिकाले गर्ने अर्को डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो। जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ। सो खुट्टामा चाहिँ केही पनि प्रेसर पर्दैन, ढाडमा पनि कम प्रेसर पर्छ। सो त्यसरी गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँलाई एकदम कम्फर्टेबल हुन्छ। अनि प्लस अब उहाँले अब तल गएर तान्नुपर्ने हुक गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू हुन्छ। सकेसम्म उहाँहरूले ट्राई गर्नु भएन भने हामी एकजना रेस्क्यु स्ट्यान्ड बाई हुन्छ। अनि त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामी अलिक बढी प्रिपेयर गरेर गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। अब सेफ्टीको हिसाबले अलिकति डिफ्रेन्ट तरिका चाहिँ अपनाउनु पर्यो हामीले।
This was not a stunt. It was proof that adventure can be made accessible.
34औं अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय अपङ्गता दिवस हो। सो यो अपङ्गता दिवसकै दिनमा चाहिँ केही एउटा चाहिँ एडभेन्चर गरौँ हैन। अब कसैले पनि अब व्हिलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन, त्यसको लागि पनि एउटा चाहिँ पहिलोचोटि गर्दै हेर अरू साथीहरूलाई पनि एउटा चाहिँ इन्करेज गरौँ भन्ने चाहना हो खास।
At the edge of the platform, silence fell. Dilip rolled forward first. The count began.
Happy International Disability Day, all of you.
A symbol of confinement transformed into a vessel of freedom, probably the first ever wheelchair bungee jump in Nepal.
Promax bungee!
खासै अहिले चाहिँ पुरा म नर्मल चाहिँ एकदम चिल भएको छु हैन। अब यहाँ हाम फाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ, म हाम फालिसकेपछि अनुभव सुनाउँछु। अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड। आई एम गोइङ टु डु समथिङ फर माइसेल्फ हैन। आई एम गोइङ टु डु माई फर्स्ट बन्जी अफ माई लाइफ। So I'm very excited.
Then came Sisir's turn. With equal determination, he embraced the drop.
Let's go.
His leap cemented the moment, not a solo feat, but a shared victory.
यस उहाँले आर यु रेडी भन्नुभयो मैले ठिक छ म रेडी भने मैले आँखा चिम्म गरिदिएँ अनि त्यसपछि ठ्याक्कै उहाँले 1 2 3 जम्प भन्नुभयो उहाँले पुस गरिदिनु भयो मलाई म पुस गरेको आँखा चिम्मको चिम्म तल पुगेपछि ठ्याक्क त्यो डोरीले तान्छ नि तानेर माथि आएपछि त्यो समय चाहिँ मैले यस्तो फिल गरेँ कि म बाँचेँ हैन मसँग अब चाहिँ सबै चिजहरू मसँग फेरि पनि छ र मलाई चाहिँ एकदमै आनन्द त्यो टाइमको त्यो 2 सेकेन्ड 3 सेकेन्डको एउटा चाहिँ ह्याप्पिनेस एउटा त्यो रिफ्रेस एउटा त्यो फिलले चाहिँ एकदमै ह्याप्पी दियो क्या मलाई इनर्जी भित्रदेखि मसँग भइरहेको सिद्धिरहेको एउटा चाहिँ इनर्जीलाई ठ्याक्क दियो त्यो झर्दाखेरिको चाहिँ मेरो माइन्ड पुरै रिसेट भइदियो जस्तो भयो क्या केही पनि छैन म एकदमै एकदम नील मसँग केही पनि छैन रित्तियो सकियो मैले सबै चिज छोडिदिएर म झरिसकेको थिएँ हाम फालिसकेको थिएँ तर पुगेर ठ्याक्क तानेर ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एउटा मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लाइफको चाहिँ एकदम इन्जोयफुल मुभमेन्ट हो जसले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ आजको दिनसम्म अझ धेरै उत्प्रेरणाहरू जगाएको एउटा मुभमेन्ट हो त्यो मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लागि एकदम मेमोरियल पनि छ
Dilip and Sisir's jump was more than a thrill. It was a loud scream demanding change, a call for accessible tourism.
एक्सेसिबिलिटी कै कुराहरू हुन्छ के हजुरको जस्तो अब मैले पोखरामा प्याराग्लाइडिङ गर्दाखेरि कायाकिङ गर्दाखेरि हैन अप्पर मुस्ताङ चाहिँ हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो अफ रोड गाडीमै जाँदाखेरिको कुराहरुमा चाहिँ अलिकति एक्सेसिबल अलिकति हामीलाई चाहिँ पहुँचयुक्त चाहिँ ठाउँहरु भएदेखि अलिकति सजिलो हुन्थ्यो भनौं न अब यो झोलुङ्गे पुलहरुबाट गरिन्छ हैन त्यहाँ चाहिँ हल्का र्याम्प के जस्तो व्हीलचेयरकै लागि पनि एउटा स्ट्र्याप राख्दाखेरि त काठको एउटा भनौं न त्यो फ्लोरिङ जस्तै टाइपले गर्दियो भने त हेल्प गर्ने असिस्ट गर्नेलाई पनि सजिलो हुने अनि हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुने चाहिँ हुन्छ
Among Nepal's many glacial lakes, some are at serious risk of bursting. Sudden bursts of these lakes due to the impact of climate change could result in massive loss of lives and property. This issue has already been discussed widely in the international community. Nepal itself has been drawing attention to the condition of these lakes and the harm they could cause. Even then, in the recent years, several glacial lakes of Nepal have already burst, resulting in heavy loss of life and property. Experts warn that this trend could continue to grow and have urged everyone to take preventive action. Just a week ago, in Koike rural municipality of Dolba district of the far western Nepal, flood mixed with derbs buried about 53 houses. Likewise, in mid-April 2025, heavy rainfall and flooding in Srinagar Bazar of Odanchuli municipality in Humla in the northwestern Nepal has caused massive destruction. Continuous rain has also damaged areas in Srinagar and nearby villages in Mugu's Khatiar rural municipality. Last year, it was confirmed that the flood in Thame River of Solukhumbu in the Khumbu region of the foothills of Mount Everest was caused by glacial lake outburst. Similarly, the unexpected flood in Rasua along Nepal-China border in the north on July 8, 2025, according to experts, was the result of glacial lake outburst. Recently, ICIMOD used satellite images and other research to identify 47 glacial lakes that could burst at any time, causing harm to human settlement in Nepal. The study shows that many of these high-risk lakes are located within Koshi River Basin. ICIMO's General Director Dr. Pema Gyamso says that the climate change and rising temperature are the main reasons behind the bursting of these lakes. Gyamso adds that to stop such disasters, there must be strong investment in the early warning systems and emergency preparation.
Collaboration चाहिए, cooperation transboundary. अब हाम्रो 8 देश छ इन्दो-कोशी हिमालयमा, त्यसमा हामीले इन्फर्मेसन एक्सचेन्ज गर्ने, साइन्टिफिक कोअपरेसन, अब त्यसको लागि पनि इन्भेस्टमेन्ट चाहियो, फन्डिङ चाहियो, त्यसको पनि प्रब्लम छ। अन्त हामीले अहिले इसिमो चाहिँ यो पोलिटिकली न्युट्रल भएर हामीले चाहिँ के गर्दैछौँ भने साइन्टिस्टहरू र हाम्रो पोलिसी मेकरसँग लिएर डिस्कस चाहिँ हुँदैछ, तर हामीले अलिक यो भन्दा बेसी कोअपरेसन चाहिँ गर्छ, खास चाहिँ कोअर्डिनेसन कोअपरेसन हो। हामीले यो रिसोर्सेस र यो नपुगेर पनि कोअपरेसन छ भने अहिले भन्दा बेसी हामीले त्यो प्रिभेन्सन गर्न सक्छौँ डिसास्टर।
Out of the 47 risky glacial lakes, 25 are located in China, 21 are inside Nepal, and 1 lies on the Indian side. Even if the lakes in China and India burst, the damage would still reach Nepal's settlement downstream. Records show that glacial lake outbursts have been causing destruction in Nepal for decades. In the past 24 years alone, 26 glacial lake outbursts have been recorded. Among them, 14 occurred inside Nepal itself. Research shows that Lower Boron Lake is one of the lakes posing highest risk that could affect the nearby settlements. Similarly, Chamlang, Inja, Lumding, and Tulangi glacial lakes are also at high risk. If large amount of stored water releases at once, the resulting flood could be even bigger than the recent ones in Raswa. When heavy snow or ice falls onto the glacial lake, it can displace the water, causing sudden floods downstream. Large blocks of ice or rock sliding onto the lake can push the water out, creating massive flood carrying mud, rocks, and debris. Experts believe that Nepal still needs to do much more to reduce the impact of climate change. They say cooperation in the international community and greater national investment in prevention and protection are both essential.
More than 150 migrants have been rescued after the boat they were using to cross the English Channel caught fire on Tuesday morning, according to French authorities. The vessel was attempting to reach the UK when its engine caught fire, according to the French maritime officials. A total of 157 people were rescued, as authorities said there were no reports of injuries or deaths. French authorities said the boat left northern France on Monday night. Overnight, 5 people on board required rescue, but the remaining migrants refused assistance from French patrol vessels determined to continue their journey towards the UK. The Maritime Prefecture said officials initially avoided further intervention because of the structural fragility of the overcrowded boat. However, after the engine caught fire on Tuesday morning and the vessel rapidly began to break apart, a full rescue operation was launched. The latest rescue comes as European countries continue to grapple with irregular migration. The issue has remained high on the European Union's agenda since emergency meetings of EU interior ministers were convened following Spain's Ceuta migration crisis, which exposed weaknesses in European cooperation on migration management and border security. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung urged authorities to step up effort for people affected by a record heatwave in the country, saying the death toll had risen to 16 and warning that extreme weather is becoming more frequent. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, Lee called on officials to take necessary measures to protect the daily lives of people and inspect power systems as demand for air conditioning surges. The nation's weather agency said Yangsan, a southeastern inland city, recorded a temperature of 42.5 degrees Celsius on Sunday, the highest temperature measured in 122 years of weather observations. The Korea Meteorological Administration also issued its first ever heatwave warning for parts of Seoul. The capital is under a severe heatwave warning for the first time since the new category is introduced this year to alert citizens to increasing extremes. North Koreans too were seen seeking relief at the Wonsan Kalma coastal tourist zone as a record heatwave swept the Korean peninsula, with the state media showing hundreds gathering at the seaside. Japan too is experiencing its hottest summer on record, and rising temperatures have continued to place pressure on communities, wildlife and public services. 3 lions have died from suspected heat stroke at Tama Zoological Park in Tokyo as Japan continues to face extreme summer temperatures, with other big cats at the facility receiving treatment amid concerns over the impact of high heat and humidity. Officials said the lions struggle with the harsh weather conditions as temperatures across parts of Japan have recently reached 40 degrees Celsius. Scientists say volatile weather events are becoming more intense and frequent owing to the climate change, which is man-made. The Indonesian Navy has recovered the bodies of victims following a passenger ferry fire off the coast of Java over the weekend, with officials confirming that all survivors have now been accounted for. Officials said Tuesday that 5 people were killed in the incident, while rescue teams continued efforts to recover victims and secure the area after the vessel caught fire during its journey. The cause of the blaze has not yet been fully determined, and officials are investigating the circumstances surrounding the accident. The Indonesian Navy and other emergency teams were deployed for search and rescue operations after the ferry caught fire, prompting passengers and crew members to be evacuated. The incident has renewed concerns over maritime safety in Indonesia, a nation that relies heavily on ferries for transportation between thousands of islands. Officials said further details about the victims and investigation would be released as the inquiry progresses. The month of July showed devastating wildfires across several regions of the world, with extreme heat, dry conditions, and strong winds fueling large-scale blazes that forced evacuations, damaged communities, and threatened ecosystems. In Europe, wildfires spread across the areas of Spain, Greece, Italy, Portugal, and Turkey as high temperatures and prolonged drought created dangerous fire conditions. Thousands of firefighters have been deployed to contain the flame, while residents and tourists in the affected areas have been forced to evacuate. In North America, wildfires continue to impact parts of Canada and the United States, with smoke affecting air quality across large areas. Fire crews battled rapidly spreading blazes as authorities warned of increased risk due to dry vegetation and extreme weather. In Asia, several countries also faced major wildfire threats, with forest fires reported in regions affected by heat waves and changing weather patterns. Scientists have warned that rising global temperatures are increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme fire events, making wildfire seasons longer and more difficult to manage. Governments and emergency agencies are strengthening prevention measures, including improved monitoring, firefighting capacity, and public safety campaigns. While hunters in Iceland have continued bringing their catch to port for processing, with around 32 whales harpooned so far this season, significantly fewer than in previous years, according to a marine conservation foundation monitoring the hunt. The foundation released footage documenting the processing of killed whales after they were landed, highlighting practices observed during the operation. The group said the images were intended to draw attention to the realities of commercial whaling and renew calls for greater oversight. The organization also reported that one of its monitoring vessels was boarded by the Icelandic Coast Guard on July the 31st while observing a whale hunt. The incident occurred during the Foundation's efforts to document the season's activities, although no further details have been immediately released. Commercial whaling remains a controversial practice in Iceland, where supporters cite tradition and industry, while environmental groups continue to campaign for an end to whale hunting. A London hospital is demonstrating the growing role of robotic-assisted surgery as medical professionals prepare for wider adoption of advanced systems, including the new Da Vinci 5 robotic surgical platform. Surgeon Sasa Stamenikovic told visiting doctors that younger surgeons often adapt more quickly to robotic procedures with skills developed through activities such as gaming and music, potentially helping shape the surgeons of the future. He said robotic training is becoming an increasingly important part of modern surgical practice.
There is a difference between standard keyhole surgery and robotic surgery. You have two hands which you're operating with bimanually always. And that's how the original open surgery used to be. Keyhole surgery kind of compromised that a bit, and robotic surgery has brought you back to what surgeons wanted to do, which was to have an art form, able to create something with their hands, and not to have the compromise of stiff and difficult instrumentation.
The UK government has set a target for robotic assistants to be used in 9 out of 10 keyhole surgeries in England by 2035 as part of efforts to improve surgical outcomes and expand access to advanced medical technology. Ali Ansaripur, a senior cardiothoracic trainee completing a robotic fellowship, said robotic surgery could provide major benefits for patients, including shorter hospital stays, reduced pain and faster recovery times, with many patients able to return home within 1 or 2 days.
The benefits are shorter length of stay, less pain for the patient going home day 1, day 2, making sure they're comfortable, less pain, less need for analgesia after the operation. And this is clear, so if you get to see the patient later today, you will see him walking around the ward, and that is a real example of what happens to every single patient we treat today.
76-year-old Ian MacLeod became the first patient in Britain to undergo lung cancer surgery using the new Da Vinci 5 robotic system. He said he experienced a quick recovery with only a small wound on his back from the surgical drain after the procedure.
That was extraordinary. In fact, after the operation, I found out quite quickly that I only had one stitch in a small wound on my back, and that was where the drain was. As far as walking, I think after I went back to the ward, which was only maybe half an hour after the surgery, I was walking.
The case marks a significant milestone in UK's adoption of robotic technology as hospitals continue expanding advanced surgical techniques. The southern French coastal town of Valra Plaza is testing a drone equipped with a flotation device to help detect swimmers in distress and speed up emergency response along the beaches. The trial is part of broader efforts to enhance beach safety during the busy tourist season and reduce the risk of drowning incidents. The drone is designed to identify suspicious movements in the water and quickly deliver a buoy to people who may be struggling before lifeguards arrive. Local officials say the technology could improve safety, particularly during periods when beaches are not under active surveillance. Mayor Daniel Ballester said the drone's greatest value may come outside official monitoring hours when it can trigger emergency assistance more rapidly. The initiative comes as coastal communities across Europe explore new technologies to support lifeguards and improve response times during emergencies. Officials say the drone is not intended to replace human rescuers but to provide additional support in critical situations. Millions of people across Thailand are taking part in an annual alcohol abstinence campaign during Buddhist Lent, combining religious traditions with efforts to promote healthier lifestyles and reduce alcohol-related harm. They made pledges, pressing their palms together, and bowed their head at the Buddhist temple, vowing to stop drinking alcohol for the 3-month Lent period. Some said they previously had been a heavy drinker and hope the commitment will help change their habits. The campaign encourages people to use the Buddhist Lent period as an opportunity for self-discipline, reflection, and improved health. It comes as Thailand continues to face concerns over high alcohol consumption, with the country recording the third highest per capita alcohol consumption in Asia. Health authorities and Buddhist organizations have supported the initiative, saying temporary abstinence can encourage long-term changes in drinking behavior and raise awareness about the social and health impacts of excessive alcohol use. The J53 Fashion Festival 2026 concluded after bringing together emerging designers from Indonesia and France in a showcase celebrating creativity, cultural exchange, and innovation. The festival's featured runway presented collections from 13 designers and fashion brands. The showcase highlighted diverse creative identities and encouraged collaboration between young talents from both the countries. The runway featured experimental collections from 4 finalists of the Future Fashion Designer program, with designs exploring identity through bold and artistic details. Indonesian designers also presented contemporary creations including genderless denim streetwear, modern interpretations of Bangka's traditional sual textile, and structured designs inspired by literature and modern aesthetics. Organizers say the event reinforced JF3's commitment to nurturing young designers and expanding international collaboration in the fashion industry. The centuries-old Secek World Wrestling and Cultural Festival has once again taken place in a Turkish village, drawing crowds and stronger participation from the Turkish community in Western Thars. The traditional festival, which has been celebrated for nearly 7 centuries, featured world wrestling competitions, folk music and dance performances, as well as a range of cultural activities highlighting the region's heritage. Wrestlers from different areas took part in the tournament, continuing a historic sporting tradition passed down through generations. The event was attended by community representatives and visitors who gathered to celebrate the cultural occasion. At the end of the wrestling competitions, medals were awarded to the athletes who secured top places in the tournament. Organizers say the Secek Festival remains an important cultural gathering that preserves traditional practices while strengthening community ties in Turkey.
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I am Sabika Shrestha, your host for the program. From major headlines to the issues behind them, we gather week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. In this episode, we delve into the events that transformed a local clash in Sunsari into widespread unrest across Madhes, tracing the journey through curfews, security operations, political dialogue, peace initiatives and the gradual return to stability. The violence began on the night of July 26 in Kaptanganj, a market area in Devanganj rural municipality of Sunsari district, a few kilometers from the India border, before spreading to neighboring Siraha and triggering protests and restrictions in Saptari and Dhanusa district. The clash broke out between the two communities over loudspeakers and a religious procession. Tensions escalated after the other side objected to loud music being played, which led to an argument. A group of people resorted to stone pelting, escalating the violence. The 3-day unrest in Kaptanganj finally settled after Home Minister Sudhan Gurung reached the site and forged a 7-point understanding between the families of deceased and the government. Thursday evening, the agreement was signed with the guardians of the victims of the incident, bringing the matter to a close. Here's the detail.
A 7-point agreement has been reached between the government of Nepal and the families of Om Prakash Mehta and Jai Prakash Mehta, who lost their lives in the incident that occurred on July 25th in Kaptanganj, Devanganj Rural Municipality 3, Sunsari. The agreement was signed late last Thursday night following negotiations. The parents of the deceased, Om Prakash and Jai Prakash, signed on behalf of the families, while Home Minister Sudhan Gurung signed on behalf of the government.
According to the agreement, the government will immediately initiate the process of declaring the deceased as martyrs and provide relief of 1 million Nepali rupees to each family. An impartial investigation will be conducted and those found guilty will be punished. An inquiry will also be launched into the legal status of the madrasa or the Islamic educational institution located in Devaganj Rural Municipality 3. The agreement further states that one eligible member from each bereaved family will be provided employment. Based on the recommendations of the investigation committee, a memorial park will be constructed in a suitable location of the municipality in coordination with the local government to honor the deceased. The victim families expressed confidence that the government will implement its commitment in a timely manner, while the government assured that all points of the agreement will be implemented step by step. Following the agreement, the epicenter of the recent unrest, Kaptanganj, is slowly limping back to normalcy.
Government and opposition leaders in Nepal showed unity in a show of consensus calling for calm and dialogue after unrest in Sunsari district. The joint appeal comes as authorities work to ease tensions and political leaders urge communities across the country to maintain social harmony. Here's a report.
Political leaders from across Nepal's parliament have issued a joint appeal for peace, dialogue and restraint after unrest in eastern Nepal's Sunsari district. An all-party meeting at Singhadarbar in Kathmandu brought together leaders from the governing coalition and the opposition following recent events in Devanganj. The leaders expressed concern over the situation in Sunsari and other parts of the country and appealed to the public to maintain national unity and social harmony. In a joint statement, they called on provincial and local governments to hold all-party meetings, promote dialogue at the community level, and strengthen public trust. They also urged religious leaders, civil society, local authorities, the media, and social media users to act responsibly and help maintain peace.
पहिलो दायित्व भनेको शान्ति सुव्यवस्था कायम गर्ने हो, सद्भाव कायम गर्ने हो। अहिले हामीले आरोप प्रत्यारोप चर्का कुरा कसले गल्ती गर्यो, कसले ठीक गरेन, कसले बोल्यो, कसले बोलेन, कसले कति बजेर कति मिनेटमा बोल्यो, कसले कति बजेर कति मिनेट ढिला बोल्यो, हामी यहाँ जाने होइन। आजको संवेदनशीलता संसारका साथीहरूले बुझ्नु पर्ने हुन्छ।
Opposition leaders also called for restraint.
हामी यो बेलामा सरकारलाई अप्ठ्यारो पार्न चाहन्छौँ। हामी यो बेलामा सरकारसँग कामै गर्न चाहन्छौँ। हाम्रो जिम्मेवारी हो। तर मैले अहिले माथि भने यस्तो बेलामा पनि प्रधानमन्त्री भाउ खाएर बस्नु, यस्तो बेलामा पनि प्रधानमन्त्री थालु गरेर बस्नु, यो बेलामा रिच आउट गर्नु पर्दैन, यो बेलामा सबैलाई जोड्ने प्रयास गर्नु पर्दैन र सबैको भएर सबैलाई समेटेर ल्याउने प्रयास गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने हामी ठान्छौँ र प्रधानमन्त्रीले गर्नुहोस् भन्ने हाम्रो चाहना हाम्रो माग पनि छ। त्यसका निम्ति हामीले मान्य सभापति मार्फतबाट माननीय प्रधानमन्त्रीले आउनुभएको थियो र उहाँ मार्फतबाट सरकारलाई हाम्रो कुरा पुर्याइदिनु सुनिसकेका छौँ। यो एउटा पक्ष हो। तर फेरि पनि अन्त्यमा हामीले हाम्रो पार्टीको तर्फबाट यो बेलामा सामाजिक सद्भाव धार्मिक सहिष्णुताका निम्ति हाम्रो भूमिका हामी निर्वाह गर्छौँ र हामी सबै अरू दलहरूसँग पनि मिलेर गर्छौँ भन्ने कुरा।
सामाजिक र साम्प्रदायिक सद्भाव कायम गर्ने कुरामा सबै पक्षको सहयोग आवश्यक छ। सबै राजनीतिक दलहरू, सामाजिक सङ्घ संस्थाहरू, धार्मिक व्यक्तित्वहरू सबैले शान्ति कायम गर्ने कुराहरूमा भूमिका खेल्नु पर्दछ भन्ने खालको आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु र विशेष गरी सुनसरी लगायतका क्षेत्रका जनसमुदायहरूलाई सरकार अभिभावकका रूपमा छ भन्ने कुराको अनुभूति सरकारले प्रदान गर्नुपर्छ। हामी राजनीतिक दलहरू पनि न्याय प्राप्तिको लागि छटपटाइरहेका नागरिकहरूको पक्षमा राजनीतिक दलहरू पनि छन्। नागरिकको सुरक्षाको जिम्मेवारी सबैको साझा जिम्मेवारीको कुरा हो।
The meeting also reaffirmed Nepal's tradition of religious, cultural, and linguistic diversity and called for mutual respect among communities. The appeal follows clashes in Devanganj during a bowl bomb religious procession on August 10. Police said they opened fire while trying to bring the situation under control. A 30-year-old man was killed. Authorities say the situation remains sensitive. Prime Minister Balendra Shah also appealed for calm in a social media message, urging people not to spread anger, fear, or hatred, and to avoid actions that could increase tensions. Political leaders say continued dialogue and cooperation at all levels will be important in maintaining peace and social harmony.
Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah urged citizens to maintain tolerance, harmony and national unity following deadly clashes in Sunsari and Siraha districts. Addressing the nation, Shah expressed condolences to the family of those killed in the incidents and said the government remains fully committed to restoring peace and security. The PM called on people not to spread rumors, unverified information or messages that could create tension, urging everyone to act with restraint and responsibility.
नमस्कार आदरणीय बुवाआमा दिदीबहिनी तथा दाजुभाइहरू म आज एक अत्यन्त संवेदनशील घडीमा तपाईहरु सामु उपस्थित भएको छु। केही दिन अघि सुनसरीको देवानगञ्ज सिराहा लगायतका स्थानमा भएको दुखद घटना र त्यसपछि केही जिल्लाहरूमा उत्पन्न अशान्त वातावरणलाई लिएर नेपाल सरकार पूर्ण रूपमा गम्भीर र संवेदनशील छ। यस दुखद घटनामा परि निधन हुनुभएका हाम्रा नागरिकहरू जयप्रकाश मेहता, ओम प्रकाश मेहता र गणेश यादवप्रति म भावपूर्ण श्रद्धाञ्जली अर्पण गर्दछु। साथै शोक सन्तप्त परिवारजनहरूमा नेपाल सरकारका तर्फबाट गहिरो संवेदना व्यक्त गर्दछु। घटनामा परि घाइते हुनुभएका सम्पूर्ण नागरिकहरूको शीघ्र स्वास्थ्य लाभको कामना गर्दछु। घाइतेहरूको उपचारमा कुनै पनि प्रकारको कमी वा ढिलाइ हुन नदिन सम्बन्धित स्वास्थ्य निकायहरूलाई स्पष्ट निर्देशन दिइसकिएको छ। घटना भए लगत्तै सबै सुरक्षा निकायहरूले तत्काल घटनास्थलमा पुगेर परिस्थितिलाई सामान्य बनाउने, थप अप्रिय घटना हुन नदिने र शान्ति सुरक्षा कायम गर्ने प्रयास निरन्तर गरिरहेका छन्। घटनाको निष्पक्ष छानबिन गरी दोषीलाई कडा कानुनी कारबाही गर्न गृह मन्त्रालयले छानबिन समिति गठन गरिसकेको छ। म सबैमा विश्वास दिलाउन चाहन्छु कि यो छानबिन पूर्ण रूपमा निष्पक्ष र पारदर्शी हुनेछ। घटनामा संलग्न दोषी जो कोही भए पनि कानुनी दायरामा ल्याउन सरकार प्रतिबद्ध छ। अवस्था थप नबिग्रियोस्, कुनै पनि नागरिकको जनधनको क्षति हुन नपाओस् र स्थानीय स्तरमा विश्वासको वातावरण बनोस् भन्नका लागि नेपाल सरकार निरन्तर क्रियाशील छ। परिस्थिति सामान्यीकरण गर्न केन्द्र स्तरमा सर्वदलीय बैठक आह्वान गरी गहन छलफल गरिएको छ। स्थानीय तहसम्मै जनप्रतिनिधि, नागरिक समाज, विभिन्न धार्मिक गुरुहरू, समुदायका अगुवा तथा सामाजिक व्यक्तित्वहरूसँग निरन्तर संवाद भइरहेको छ। स्थानीय स्थितिको प्रत्यक्ष अनुगमन गर्न, पीडित पक्षसँग संवाद गर्न र शान्ति सुरक्षालाई थप सुदृढ बनाउन गृहमन्त्री स्वयं सो स्थानमा पुगिसक्नु भएको छ। साथै देशको समग्र शान्ति सुरक्षाको अवस्थाबारे गम्भीर समीक्षा गर्न राष्ट्रिय सुरक्षा परिषदको बैठक बसी परिस्थिति अनुसारका आवश्यक निर्णयहरू समेत गरिसकिएको छ। यस्तो संवेदनशील घडीमा सामाजिक सञ्जाल वा अन्य माध्यमबाट असत्य, अपुष्ट सूचना, अफवाह, घृणा फैलाउने सामग्री वा समुदायबीच वैमनस्य बढाउने अभिव्यक्ति प्रचार प्रसार नगराउन अनुरोध गर्दछु। साथै सरकारी निकायहरूबाट जारी भएका आधिकारिक तथ्य र सूचना मात्र विश्वास गर्न विशेष आग्रह गर्दछु। प्रत्येक नागरिकको जीवधनको रक्षा गर्नु, सामाजिक सद्भाव जोगाउनु र समाजमा शान्ति कायम राख्नु राज्यको सर्वोच्च र प्राथमिक दायित्व हो। आगामी दिनमा पनि राज्य थप सतर्क र संवेदनशील रहनेछ। प्रत्येक नागरिकको जीवन सुरक्षाका लागि सरकारका सम्पूर्ण संयन्त्रहरू अहोरात्र खटिनेछन्। शान्ति सुरक्षा भङ्ग गर्ने, अराजकता फैलाउने वा हाम्रो सदियौं पुरानो सामाजिक सद्भाव, सहिष्णुता र भाइचारा खलबलाउने कुनै पनि क्रियाकलापप्रति सरकार पूर्ण रूपमा सचेत छ र यस गतिविधिमाथि कडा कदम चालिनेछन्। नेपालको संविधानले प्रत्येक नागरिकलाई आआफ्नो धर्म, संस्कृति र परम्परा मान्ने मौलिक हक प्रदान गरेको छ। यो संवैधानिक दायित्व निर्वाह गर्न सरकार पूर्ण रूपमा प्रतिबद्ध छ। धर्म समाजलाई आपसमा जोड्ने र प्रेम बाँड्ने शक्ति हो। संसारको कुनै पनि धर्म वा संस्कृतिले हिंसा, घृणा र विभाजन सिकाउँदैन। सबै धर्मको मूल सार करुणा, दया, प्रेम र शान्ति नै हो। देशको कुनै स्थानमा भएको अनपेक्षित र दुःखद घटनालाई लिएर कुनै सिङ्गो समुदायलाई आरोपित गर्नु र देशका अन्य भूभागमा समेत त्यसको प्रतिशोधको आगो फैलाउनु कुनै पनि दृष्टिकोणबाट न्यायोचित वा न्यायसङ्गत हुन सक्दैन। आदरणीय बुवाआमा, दिदीबहिनी तथा दाजुभाइहरू, हाम्रो इतिहास साक्षी छ कठिनभन्दा कठिन र अप्ठ्यारो परिस्थितिमा पनि आपसी एकता, सहिष्णुता र विवेक नै हाम्रो सबैभन्दा ठूलो शक्ति बनेका छन्। हामी सबैले जिम्मेवार नागरिकको भूमिका निर्वाह गर्दै यो सुन्दर र शान्त नेपाली आकाशमा मडारिएको अशान्तिको बादल हटाउनु पर्नेछ।
Life has gradually returned to normal in Nepal's southern Madhya province after days of unrest that claimed 3 lives and injured several others. Authorities have lifted curfews in the hardest hit district, businesses are reopening, and peace initiatives by the government and local communities are helping restore calm, although security remains heightened in some areas. Let's take a look.
The situation across Nepal's southern Madhya province, which borders India and is home to a large and culturally diverse population, is steadily returning to normal after several days of violent unrest. The tensions began earlier this week in Dewanganj in Sunsari district following a local dispute that escalated into clashes. The unrest later spread to other districts including Siraha, Subsidiary and Dhanusha, disrupting daily life and prompting authorities to impose curfews and security restrictions. Now, officials say the security situation has improved significantly. Curfews have been lifted in Sunsari and Dhanusha, while restrictions have also been eased in Lahan, the main town of Siraha district. Markets are reopening, public transportation has resumed, and both two-wheelers and larger vehicles are once again operating along Nepal's east-west highway, the country's main transport corridor linking the eastern and western regions.
यो कारणले देशवासीमा र समाजमा लगायत व्यापारी सम्पूर्ण अभिन्न देशका जति अंगहरू छन् सबैमा असर पर्छ।
बन्द हडताल नै हो कि चाहिँ यहाँ भइरहल छ जे भेले भेले यसले गर्दा जनजीवन धेरै प्रभावित हुन्छ।
कोही हिसाबको पहल हो कि चाहिँ सरकारको वही किसिमको पहल करो के चाहिए
मिलके चल पर्ले तबे शान्त है।
कोनो भी समस्या पर्ले त ओके लागि समाधान बहुतै किसिमके होइ छ नि समझौता कर पर्ले सरकार से।
The government says coordinated efforts by security agencies, political parties and civil society have contributed to the improving situation. A key development came after Nepal's Home Minister Sudan Gurung visited the family of Ganesh Yadav, who was killed during the violence in Gol Bazar, Siraha.
स्वास्थ्य शिक्षा पनि उहाँलाई निशुल्क गरिदिनु पर्यो भनेर भन्ने उहाँहरूले माग राख्नु भएको थियो। 5 वटा माग मध्येमा हामीले अर्को 3टा माग अझै हामीले थप्दियौँ। हामी आफ्नै तर्फबाट हामीले थप्यौँ। अरु केही मागहरू तपाईले थप्नु पर्छ कि भन्ने कुराहरू गर्दै गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ उहाँले चाहिँ हाम्रो बुवा चाहिँ बिरामी हुँदो रहेछ। त्यसको लागि निशुल्क उपचार भइदिए राम्रो हुन्थ्यो कि भन्ने उहाँले कुरा गर्नुभएको थियो। हामीले त्यही अनुसारमा हुन्छ हामीले त्यसमा नै हामी गर्न सक्छौँ।
Despite the easing tensions, authorities say security remains heightened in some areas to prevent any further violence. At the same time, communities across the province are organizing social harmony rallies aimed at promoting peace and coexistence. Demonstrations bringing together local residents, political leaders, civil society organizations, and community representatives have been held in Mirchaya in Siraha, Rajbiraz in Subsidiary, and Janakpur, the capital of Madhya province. According to the government, the recent violence in Sunsari and Siraha claimed 3 lives and injured several others. Those injured are continuing to receive medical treatment, with officials pledging that all necessary health care will be provided. The government has also reiterated its commitment to conduct a fair investigation and hold those responsible accountable. Beyond official efforts, business leaders, community groups, and ordinary citizens are also working to discourage further violence and preserve social harmony. Peace marches have even been organized in areas that were not directly affected by the unrest, reflecting broader efforts to prevent tensions from spreading and to restore confidence across the province.
In this context, we asked Advocate Bikas Kumar Gupta about legal, constitutional and rights-based issues and unrest that happen on Madhya province. Welcome to The Perspective, sir.
Thank you so much.
So from a legal perspective, where do we draw the line between maintaining public order and protecting citizens' constitutional rights during situations like the Madhya unrest?
Democracy and democratic right do allow us to have decent opinions, but it never encourages violence. Our constitution, our criminal code clearly punishes every act surrounds around religious violence, and there are all these happens on the ground in past few days is purely a religious crime. This very thing raised a serious question and address while maintaining law and order. We must not forget the fact that this is a question of maintaining law and order than that of a question of religious violence. To this, I must say, the one who were involved in inciting this violence on the name of religion be held accountable and punishable according to our criminal law and criminal code.
Mr. Gupta, many people argue that misinformation and hate speech amplified tensions in Madhes. Does Nepal's current legal framework strike the right balance between freedom of expression and preventing incitement to violence?
So this, we have clarity in our law. Our law clearly states those who are involved in inciting religious violence, those who are in a way mobilizing a force to dismantle any religious sites, all these actions and acts are punishable as per our criminal code. To say this, one should not give a scope to escape those individuals who involve themselves in order to incite violence on the name of religion. The state must identify them, hold them accountable, and punish them as per the law. One should not let them free or let them escape out of the scope of law. The one who is inciting violence just on the name of expression cannot be held free. All these elements are dangerous for social and societal peace in long terms. A state must allow its common citizens to express their opinion is a one part, but in a democracy, resistance and the dissenting opinion is a right. But democracy even does not give a scope for violence, and state institutions and even our law must not provoke and must not give them an extra leverage to become a hero out of this all violence and all the tension, all the social stress that we observed in past few days.
Mr. Gupta, what legal or institutional reforms are needed to address the root causes of recurring communal tensions in the Madhes region?
See, a state must not only rely on a force to manage any kind of unrest in a society. There are modern technologies, there are psychological methods, and while strengthening the human resources, technology and psychological aspects of security forces, we must accommodate that besides force, there are other alternatives that state security forces must opt when there is social unrest. If that is not done in a proportional manner, if that is not done in an accountable manner, what happens is when a citizen loses their life to a bullet of a state that is sponsored by the tax of people, the people become more furious. They become furious that these forces who are there to protect our life, our property, our dignity, is killing with a bullet that we have sponsored, and the proportionality of outrage become higher in a society. So to address this, to tackle this, a state must opt to options that there are more alternative methods to control, manage the crowd with a sensitivity. Force is not a solution. We have seen this in Nepal time and again, from Madhes Andolan in 2072 to Gen Z movement in last September, and then these rights around religion suggest that whenever there is a fire from a police bullet, that has incited a violence to a greater level. So to say this, once again, how the force is being used, the proportionality is in question. The accountability is in question. If police can use force, but there is legality to this, there is proportionality to this, and there is an order, there is a procedure that is set forth in our law. The problem becomes we have a procedure to use force, but in field those procedures are completely ignored. So even if these procedures are ignored by the police or security forces, those who are ignoring this, those who are not abiding the due process must be held accountable. And to say this and to conclude this, I must say, whether it's about a security agency, state institutions, or about a public or a civic responsibility, we all as a collective force need to be sensitive if the issue involves religion, if the issue involves unrest, if the issue involves violence. Thank you.
Mr. Gupta, lastly, if such situation were to arise again, what should citizens know about their legal rights and responsibilities during curfews, protests and emergency security measures?
For the first time, I want to openly convey a message. We must end the vicious circle of impunity in Nepal. There is a tendency that people are getting rewarded and they are not being punished for their involvement and engagement in violence kind of riot or looting or any kind of damage on a public and private property. That for the first time, and now a state must look up to take a serious step to identify whether it is a 2 or a 200 personnel and then punish them. Let a state punish the one who are involved in violence. Once a state start punishing those actors, this will give a psychological message among investors that, see, we do have a dissenting opinion, but while showing that, there will be more serious in upcoming days. At the same time, these very things was not done after the NG movement. And that, in a way, set a precedent for this time. And then again, with this event, we must learn one thing. No one should be made hero out of this event. The villains, those who were involved in lootings, those who were involved in inciting violence, attacking personal properties, need to be punished this time. One should not, a state must not allow one thing to get leverage out of this religious protest. One should not be allowed to take dividend out of this protest is one thing. Another thing is, when the incitement and the issue is one, with this and on this pretext, a state must not compromise on constitutional issues. A state must not compromise on any political issues. A state must restore the settled constitutional questions, and just in order to compromise any kind of violence for a temporary period, a state must not invite the circus of instability in long term. For an example, the kind of demand that is surpassing in the media currently, in a demand of Hindu Rashtra, this is in a way drag Nepal a decade back, because we have settled our secularism, the question of republic, the question of federalism, the question of inclusiveness in 2072. The step away forward for a common man is to incorporate progressive idea. In order to settle any kind of disputes in upcoming days, a state must dialogue, a state must communicate. But in the name of communication and to settle a dispute for a short time, a state must not compromise on a constitutional, basic constitutional and fundamental constitutional issues. So yet again, the sensitivities lies ahead in strengthening the security forces, in increasing the credibility of security forces, and yet again being sensitive while using forces. To this, we must not, once again, we must not make anyone hero out of any kind of violence.
Thank you for your time and insights, sir.
Thank you so much.
That was Advocate Vikas Kumar Gupta explicating more about the situation. Now that's the perspective for this week. For more updates, stay tuned to NTV World.
It is no more the remote Far West, but the wonderful West. 9 districts are in the far west province, from the low-lying Tarai to the heightening mountains. Climatically, the province has all tropical weather conditions prevailing in Nepal. This makes the province a paradise for tourists of all interests. Khaptad, Badi Malika, Api and Saipal mountains, Surmi and Ghodagodi lakes, Ramarosan area, Dodara Chandani, Sukla Fata Wildlife Reserve, Tikapur Botanical Garden, Amargari Fort. Dhangadi, the province headquarters, is the gateway to the state. The business hub of the far west region, Dhangadi, is becoming well equipped for political, trade and business infrastructures and other human resources. The far west region of Nepal is blessed with natural beauty. Any traveler is attracted by this epitome of beauty and a gift of Mother Nature. In addition to the natural beauty of the region, you can see the human civilizations rich in culture and arts throughout the province. The people of this region enjoy their unique lifestyle identified by their culture, language and religion. The far west region has the wealth of nature, culture and religious uniqueness to offer to every traveler. Khaptad. The Khaptad National Park, spreading across 4 districts of Doti, Acham, Bajang and Bajura of the far west province, is situated at an altitude of 3,000 meters above the sea level. The natural splendor and breathtaking views revealing geography's diversity is a sight to remember for every nature lover. This is the land of penance, where Khaptad Baba lived for 50 years in his pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. There are 22 Pathans and the famous Triveni temple in Khaptad. The natural splendor of Khaptad area is attracting many domestic and foreign tourists by the day. Trekking in the Khaptad region is a lifetime experience, especially with the numerous species of birds, wildlife, flora and fauna in the numerous trails. Khaptad is the meeting point of 4 districts, Doti, Acham, Bazang and Basura. A chaste land of Khaptad Baba, an important place for religious tourism. Special prayers and worship are offered in the place during the famous Dasara fair, some of the major attractions in the region. Badi Malika. Situated 4,200 meters above the sea level, Badi Malika is a famous religious site in remote Bajura district of the far west province. The annual fair on the occasion of Janai Purnima draws thousands of devotees at the Badi Malika temple. Lush green meadows, pure waterfalls, and whistling ravines flowing downstream are the major attractions of the natural wonder. Thousands of domestic and foreign tourists flock the temple every year during the fair and other times as well. Badi Malika is popular among people in the far west and Karnali provinces. However, few people from Kathmandu and Gadwal of India also visit this site for pilgrimage. The famous pilgrimage site in Bajura district of Far West province, Badi Malika. There is a popular belief that offering worship to deity Badi Malika fulfills one's wishes. Large fair takes place every year on Janai Purnima. The Badi Malika temple on top of a hill. The 22 patans, various species of flowers, panoramic view of the mountain range. Only a few small tea shops are seen as amenities in this area. One can reach Badi Malika by taking a flight from Nepalganj to Kolti airport of Bajura. Day-long drive from Kolti followed by 3 days of walk. Suklafata National Park is a world-famous destination for those interested in wildlife. The main attraction of the park is the large grassy meadows where the bara singers are seen in big numbers. The flock in the park is said to be the largest in the world. The park is home to 46 mammals, including endangered Bengal tiger, elephant, and anjir, and over 423 species of birds. The national park offers elephant ride and jungle safari to tourists as major recreational activities. The national park along Nepal-India border in Kanchanpur district is famous for watching wild elephants and barasingha, a heaven for wildlife enthusiasts. The attractions: grassy meadows, swamps and wetlands. Ramaroshan, located in Acham district of Nepal at an altitude of 2500 meters above the sea level. Ramaroshan is a jewel for tourists in the Far West province. A place having 18 patch of meadows, locally known as Patans, is a major tourism destination. The beautiful Ramaroshan Lake is the major attraction for tourists here. This area is the only habitat of national bird of Nepal, Daffy, or the Lophophorus. The rhododendron forest along the trails leading to the lake rejuvenates every traveler. Amargadi Fort. Amargadi Fort is a historic castle in Amargadi municipality of Danildura. This fort is an important site of historical, archaeological, political, religious, social and cultural aspect. The fort that witnessed the bravery of Kaji Amar Singh Thapa in the unification campaign of Nepal is strategically located at the top of a hill in the district headquarters of Dadildura. General Thapa established his administrative headquarters in the fort itself during the unification campaign. This is an interesting site for researchers and archaeological explorers. Mostly domestic and Indian tourists visit this fort. The Far West province has dozens of existing and new tourism destinations. From a breathtaking mountain range to famous temples, the province has tourism destinations for all types of travelers to engage them for even a month. As many tourism destinations are in Far West province, so is the potential of the province. Most of the tourists in the province come for travel and research. However, lack of proper infrastructures discourage many enthusiasts. The Far West province has not been able to welcome desired number of tourists in the absence of the amenities. The number of foreign tourists entering Nepal via custom points in the Far West province has seen some increment of late. But most of them hardly spend a day or two there. After entering Nepal from Kailali or Kanchanpur, most of the tourists head towards the east for capital Kathmandu or Pokhara or some other destinations. After the centralized system of governance changed to federalism, the possibilities of development has increased with the full authority now in local levels. One immediate such possibility is the trekking trail. If only the 5 proposed tourism corridors, Khakrola, Tikapur, Karnali, Badimalika, Khutia, Bipinagar, Tel Lake, Khaptar, Dhangadi, Budar, Saipal, Mahakali River and Jhulaghat, Mursa can be developed as per provincial government's plan. It could contribute to the national mission of prosperity through tourism. Many other destinations can be developed into touristic sites to welcome domestic as well as foreign tourists. The artist's geography might be discouraging, but the nature has blessed the region with glory. This is why tourism can be the base for prosperity for Far West province. It is no more the remote Far West, but the wonderful West.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabur Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route and the enduring devotion of Mahabur Dham. Many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathi, Okharbans, Bhavsaini, Noli, and Unipata, pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisni before finally reaching Mahabur Patan. Pilgrims from Dailek and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabur Dham is thrilling, adventurous, and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog, and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabur Lake or Mahabur Dham, located within Mahabur Rural Municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance, and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabur Dham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabur Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Sai Palhimal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardia. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabur Dham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabur Dham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabur Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression.
Nepal's Home Minister meets family of deceased in Tarai unrest. Investigation begins into events leading to Gold Bazar shooting. Nepal's southern plain faces rising water crisis as groundwater declines. Experts link the issue to climate change and resource exploitation. Cooking gas crisis triggers government action. High-level meeting reviews supply gaps and imports. South Korea battles record heat wave as death toll rises to 16. Capital Seoul under first severe heat warning. Israel and Lebanon hold new talks in Rome amid rising tensions. Trump presses Iran for agreement. And FIFA suspension threatens Nepal's football future. Players urge government actions to restore international participation. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Nepal's Home Minister has held talks with the family of a man who died after being injured in recent unrest, as authorities face mounting pressure to restore calm in the country's southern plains. 22-year-old Rabindra Mehta succumbed to wounds today after being wounded during violence in Sunsari district earlier this month. His family initially refused to accept his body, demanding justice and accountability. The minister met the family at a hospital in Kathmandu after separately holding discussions with religious community leaders, calling for peace and social harmony. Meanwhile, a government investigation team has visited Siraha district where another man, Ganesh Yadav, was killed during protests linked to the unrest. Investigators are gathering evidence and meeting political leaders, business groups and community representatives to determine how the violence spread and why security forces opened fire. The government says the findings will be used to identify those responsible and recommend legal action. Now, a growing groundwater crisis is affecting millions of people in Nepal's Madhya province, threatening drinking water supplies, farming and also daily life. Across the southern plains, falling groundwater levels have caused wells, hand pumps and tube wells to dry up, leaving communities struggling to access water. Experts say declining rainfall, climate change, deforestation and uncontrolled extraction are disrupting natural groundwater recharge. Authorities have announced measures to address the shortage, but experts warn that without effective water management and protection of the Chure region, Madhya could face a deeper water crisis in the future. We'll look at this story in detail in our Issue of the Day segment later in the bulletin. Now, thousands of families in Nepal are struggling to get cooking gas, with many forced to wait in long queues for a cylinder. The government says there is enough LPG in the country and that the problem is mainly linked to distribution challenges and increased demand. Officials say some consumers are also storing extra cylinders, putting pressure on supplies. A government meeting has ordered better coordination with suppliers and distributors, while authorities plan to increase imports ahead of the Dashain festival. Many consumers, however, say the shortage shows gaps in how gas is distributed and monitored. More on this in our cover story segment later in the bulletin. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has urged authorities to step up support for people affected by a record heat wave in the country, saying the death toll had risen to 16 and warning that extreme weather was becoming more frequent. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, Lee called on officials to take necessary measures to protect the daily lives of people and inspect power systems as demand for air conditioning surges. The nation's weather agency said Yangsang, a southeastern inland city, recorded a temperature of 42.5 degrees Celsius on Sunday, the highest temperature measured in 122 years of weather observations. The Korea Meteorological Administration also issued its first ever heat wave warning for parts of Seoul and neighboring Gyeonggi on Monday, extending this to all of the capital today. The capital was under a severe heat wave warning Tuesday for the first time since the new category was introduced this year to alert citizens of increasing extremes. Now, a new round of U.S.-mediated talks between Israel and Lebanon is underway in Rome, focusing on a plan to reduce tensions along the southern Lebanese border. The discussions center on creating pilot zones where Israeli forces would withdraw and the Lebanese army would take control. The move is part of wider efforts to implement a security framework agreed by both sides. But the process faces challenges with continued Israeli military activity in southern Lebanon and opposition from Hezbollah, which rejects direct engagement with Israel. The talks are being closely watched as officials seek a path toward a more lasting ceasefire and stability along the border. U.S. President Donald Trump has said Washington and Tehran are currently engaged in negotiations despite Iran's denial of ongoing talks and warned that the country faces its last chance to reach an agreement. Trump told reporters that discussions were taking place and said he wanted to give Iran every last chance to secure a deal before further action was considered.
We're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called, the leaders of many are friendly with a lot of them, almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document. Yeah, please.
Meanwhile, ships and oil tankers anchor off the coast of Oman as regional mediators pursue a short-term agreement between the U.S. and Iran aimed at lowering tensions and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Qatar says diplomatic efforts are continuing, although no direct talks are currently planned. Moving on, Nepal's football community is raising concerns over the future of the sport after the country was suspended by FIFA, leaving its teams at risk of missing international competitions. The suspension follows a dispute between the All Nepal Football Association and the National Sports Council. As a result, Nepal has been excluded from upcoming international fixtures, including uncertainty over its participation in the 2026 SAF Championship. Players and coaches say the ban could have a serious impact on athletes and the development of football in the country. Nepal's women's national team coach Nabin Neupane and former national player and technical director Hari Khadka have urged Prime Minister Balendra Shah to help resolve the dispute and bring Nepali football back to the international stage. Nepal's Madhya province is facing a worsening groundwater crisis. Dry wells and shrinking water supplies are putting millions at risk. We look at what's causing the crisis and why experts warn the situation could get much worse. Stay with us for our issue of the day. You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. Time now for our issue of the day segment. The food basket of Nepal is running dry. Across Madhya province, hand pumps are falling silent, wells are drying up and the water crisis is now reaching into hospitals, schools and even farms. Suveksha Rajak's voice with local correspondent Sanjeev Mandal brings a report.
Groundwater levels are falling across all 8 districts of Madhya province and the fallout has reached drinking water supply, agriculture, health institutions and schools. The cause traces back to the Chure Bhabar region. Forest destructions, uncontrolled extraction of gravel and sand, and changing land use have disrupted the natural recharge of groundwater. The result? Water tables dropping year after year. In Hansapur municipality of Dhanusha, residents are living that crisis directly.
अब मान्छेलाई यहाँसम्म समस्या छ यो तत्कालीन टेम्पोररी एउटा धारा हो यो धारालाई काम चलिराखेको छ तर दीर्घकालीन रूपमा जनतालाई यदि सुविधा चाहियो भनेदेखि गभर्नमेन्ट आफ्नो स्तरबाट कुन हिसाबले राम्रो गरेर जनतालाई पानी उपलब्ध हुन्छ त्यो त गभर्नमेन्ट को काम हो।
बड़ समस्या है पानी के माल जाल के आदमी के सब कथु के सरकार के कहियो से माल जाल के बड़ तकलीफ है पोखरी इंडा सूख गेले बड़ समस्या है पानी पियला नहीं दे है धरा पर समय पर भंसा भात बंद हुई है।
More than 60% of the hand pumps, wells and tube wells in Hansapur municipality have stopped producing water. For local families, that means a daily struggle just to secure drinking water. The municipality says it's responding building water tanks at various locations and supplying water as a stopgap.
हामीले खाने पाइप जडान गरेका छौं त्यसै गरी यो वार्ड नम्बर 3 मा ओभरहेड ट्याङ्की जडान गरी यो खाने पानीको लागि लगभग 3-4 हजार घरमा हामीले वितरण गरेका छौं र घर घरमा जडान गर्न पनि केहीमा बाँकी छ त्यो पनि हामी आउने आबामा त्यसलाई पनि निरन्तरता दिने छौं।
This is not a new emergency. Last year, when the crisis peaked in the middle of the monsoon, the Madhya province government declared the province drought affected on July 10, 2025. A month later, the government of Nepal went further declaring Madhya a disaster crisis affected zone for 3 months starting August 2025. But declarations haven't translated into results. The Ministry of Energy, Irrigation and Drinking Water of Madhya province admits that project launched back then meant to fix the drinking water and irrigation crisis remain incomplete. The reason? Lack of budget.
संघ सरकारबाट मध्य प्रदेशमा 300 भन्दा बढी आयोजनाहरू हस्तान्तरण भएका थिए र त्यसको लागि वर्षै पछि बजेट आउँछ तर बजेट सारै न्यून आउँछ। यो पाली हामीले 2 अरब जति बजेट मागेका थियौं 300 भन्दा बढी आयोजना थिए हैन तिनका लागि तर बजेट आयो हाम्रो 14.5 करोड जति बजेट आको छ। हाम्रो प्रदेश सरकारले पनि 80 वटा आयोजनाहरू सुरु गरेका छन् कुनै पनि सम्पन्न भएको छैन अहिलेसम्म। अब यो उसको मुख्य कारण भनेको हामीलाई चाहिने अनुसारको बजेट विनियोजन नभएको कारणले हो।
Local level budget shortages and poor quality construction of drinking water projects are compounding the problem, turning what should be one-time fixes into a reoccurring crisis. Madhya feeds the nation and houses a huge share of its population. Experts say the government now needs clear policy and a real plan for sustainable water security and that protecting the Chure Bhabar region, the backbone of the country's groundwater system, cannot wait any longer. Until that conversation happens, the taps in Madhya will keep running dry. Sweksha Rajak with Sanjeev Mandal, NTV World.
A growing water crisis is emerging in Nepal's Madhya region, where falling groundwater levels are making it harder for communities to access drinking water. In some areas, groundwater has dropped by up to 3 meters, leaving wells, hand pumps and shallow tube wells running dry. Experts say weak conservation of the Chure Hills, along with climate change and rising water extraction, is putting the region's water security at risk. Sabika Shrestha with Keshav Raj Bishta brings this report.
Groundwater levels in Madhya have been steadily declining over the past several years, worsening the region's drinking water crisis. Experts say climate change, changing rainfall patterns, longer dry season, and rising evaporation have significantly reduced groundwater reserves. Studies show groundwater levels have fallen by an average of 2 to 3 meters across the region. As a result, traditional hand pumps, wells, and shallow tube wells are drying up, disrupting drinking water supplies. The declining water table is also expected to affect agricultural production, raising concerns over water security in the region.
यो गर्मी मौसममा आउँदाखेरि चापाकलको अवस्था धेरै दयनीय हुन्छन्। त्यसकारण नेपाल सरकारले खाने पानी संस्थानलाई अधिक भन्दा बढी त्यसलाई प्रयोगकर्ता बढाउने काम गर्नुपर्छ। जनता बडा पीडा मर्कामा छ
पानी कुन कलमा आउँछ आउँदैन मान्छेहरूले यता विस्तृत भइरहेछ पानीको समस्या छिटोभन्दा छिटो सजल गरिदिनु ताकि मान्छेलाई राम्रो हुन्छ।
Meanwhile, a field study report prepared by a subcommittee under the National Assembly's Committee on Development, Economic Affairs and Good Governance have been presented to the National Assembly. The report says groundwater levels in Madhes have dropped by as much as 3 meters, while water levels in hand pumps have fallen by up to 8 meters. It also reveals that nearly 60% of hand pumps in some areas are no longer functioning because of the declining water table. In Hanspur of Dhanusa district, nearly 90% of hand pumps have reportedly dried up. The report says that the crisis is driven not only by climate change but also by excessive groundwater extraction and inadequate natural recharge. Committee chairperson Krishna Prasad Paudel said the government would be directed to implement the report's recommendations with continuous monitoring to ensure progress.
समिति चाहिँ नि सिन्सियरली कमिटेड भएर लाग्छौं राष्ट्रिय सभामा छलफल गर्छौं गरिसकेपछि यसको जिस्ट गभर्नमेन्टलाई चाहिँ नि हामी निर्देशन कार्यान्वयनको लागि निर्देशन दिन्छौं यसलाई चाहिँ हामी फलो अप पनि गर्छौं र यो कार्य चाहिँ नि यसको रिजल्ट नआउँदासम्म हामी चाहिँ
Experts says the degradation of the Chure Hills remain the main driver of the groundwater crisis in Madhes. They have also called for stronger conservation of the Chure region and better forest protection to restore groundwater reserves. Stakeholders meanwhile urging the government to immediately launch an integrated Chure conservation program, warning that delays could lead to a far more severe water crisis in the years ahead.
As the Madhya province reels under severe shortage of underground water, even in the peak monsoon, we'll look into the numbers with the help of technology. For the first time in NTV World transmission, we are broadcasting fully artificial intelligence created infographic story on the water recharge system of Tarai Plains. In the course of making the story, we used freely available artificial intelligence tools, including the voice-over.
Let's look at one of Nepal's most important natural water systems, the Chur region, and why it is vital to the future of Madhesh province. The Chur Hills, stretching along the southern foothills of Nepal, act as a natural water recharge zone. During the monsoon, rainfall seeps through forests, porous soil, gravel and sand in the Chur and Babar belt, where it is stored underground. This process gradually replenishes aquifers that feed wells, springs, and rivers across the Madhesh Plains throughout the year. This underground water system supports millions of people. It provides drinking water for households, irrigates farmland that produces much of Nepal's food, supplies industries, and sustains local economies. Even during the dry season, groundwater recharged by the Chur helps communities meet their daily water needs. But deforestation, uncontrolled sand and gravel extraction, expanding infrastructure and excessive groundwater pumping are reducing the land's ability to absorb rainwater. As less water infiltrates the ground, groundwater levels continue to fall. The consequences are already becoming more visible. Communities are digging deeper wells to reach water. Drinking water shortages are becoming more common. Irrigation becomes less reliable. Farmers face higher pumping costs, and the risk of drought increases as groundwater reserves decline. Experts say protecting the Chur is essential for long-term water security. Conserving forests, restoring degraded watersheds, building groundwater recharge ponds and check dams, regulating riverbed mining, and strengthening groundwater monitoring to better manage water resources. As climate change brings more erratic rainfall and longer dry periods, safeguarding Nepal's natural recharge system is becoming increasingly important. The health of the Chur landscape is closely linked to the water, security, agriculture, and livelihoods of Madhesh province. In simple terms, protecting the Chur today means protecting the water that millions of people will depend on tomorrow.
And in this context, we spoke with local residents to understand how the water crisis is affecting them. Here's what they had to say.
तराईमा अहिले खानेपानीको एकदम धेरै अभाव छ र अहिले इनारमा पनि पानी छैन, खाना बनाउनलाई पनि पानी छैन। त्यो हिसाबले अहिले तराईकै हरेक जिल्लामा खानेपानीको एकदम अभाव छ। यहाँ
खानेपानी के लेल में कहलक अगाड़ी से पैसा सरकार देबै, ये हल्ला गोला भेले पैसा बंद भ गेल। गाँव में महामारी पानी के नहीं रहती तत्काल, आ बजट न है तब वार्ड अध्यक्ष चाहे कोई समाज कथी करबै, बजट अले पनि खाने पानी चलते।
तो धेरै समस्या छ। 5 वर्षदेखि खाने पानीको सबै कुरा यहाँ लागे छ। यहाँ पानीको कुनै व्यवस्था छैन, खाने पानीको दिक्कत छ, नुहाउनको लागि पानीको दिक्कत छ, सबै कुराको दिक्कत छ। यहाँ पानीको
समस्या तो बहुत है। हमरा सबके पियो के पानी के दिक्कत है। अथी टंकी नहीं रहैया, ई सरकारी लाइन नहीं रहैया तो हमरा सबके बहुत दिक्कत भ जाइया। कल में हमरा सबके पानी नहीं अबैया तो किछु समस्या तो उहे है। तो अहाँ सब कनी साधन की छै करियो पानी के।
That wraps up our issue of the day for the day. Now, long queues and empty gas depots. Thousands of families across Nepal are struggling to get LPG cylinders. We examine what's behind this shortage, what the government is doing, and why many consumers say the supply system needs urgent improvement. I will cover story after this break. You're watching NTV World News Hour. I'm Sarah Sabsanamarai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story. Nepal's government has held a high-level meeting to address the recent shortage of cooking gas reported in the market. The discussion, chaired by Chief Secretary Govinda Bahadur Karki at the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, reviewed the causes of the shortage and the roles of government agencies, gas suppliers and distributors in resolving the issue. Gas businesses said there is no actual shortage, but demand increased after the government resumed distribution of full 14.2 kilogram cylinders, following the temporary supply of smaller cylinders amid the Middle East conflict. Officials say gas imports are higher than before, but increased consumer stockpiling has contributed to supply pressure. The meeting decided to improve coordination and distribution in affected districts and ensure regular supply. Authorities also agreed to import more than 50,000 metric tons of liquefied petroleum gas every month for the next 3 months ahead of the Dashain festival season. Now, thousands of households in Nepal are facing long waits to buy cooking gas cylinders, despite officials' figures showing the country has more than enough supply. The growing gap between government data and public experience has raised questions over distribution failures and market oversight.
For many families in Nepal, securing a cooking gas cylinder has become a test of patience. Consumers are spending hours in queues as retailers struggle to meet the demand, while authorities insist there is no shortage of supply. Nepal's Oil Corporation says the country receives around 52,000 metric tons of liquefied petroleum gas every month, higher than the estimated monthly demand of 42,000 to 45,000 tons. But consumers say the numbers do not reflect reality.
आइलेमा दिएको तथ्याङ्क हेर्नुहुन्छ भने हामी 60,000 मेट्रिक टन ग्यास ल्याछौँ भन्छ, हाम्रो क्यापेसिटी भन्छ 46, 47, 48,000 भन्ने आएको छ। कहाँ गरिएको छ 13-14,000 मेट्रिक टन ग्यास भन्ने बित्तिकै त्यो नागरिकलाई थाम्पुर पार्नको निमित्त आवश्यकता भन्दा कम मात्रामा आयात गरिएको छ। त्यही कम भएको कारणले गर्दा पनि यो समस्या सिर्जना भइरहेको।
Lawmakers say the problem is not production but lack of transparency and monitoring. The Parliamentary Industry, Commerce, Labour and Consumer Welfare Committee has instructed the government to collect cylinder distribution data and introduce a tracking system to prevent artificial shortages.
हामीले 17 दिन अगाडि चाहिँ यो सिलिन्डर म्यापिङ हुनु पर्यो भनेर निर्देशन दिएका थियौं।
हामीलाई थाहा छ 17 दिनमा म्यापिङ हुन सक्दैन तर त्यो म्यापिङमा के गरियो त त्यो म्यापिङको काममा चाहिँ के गर्यो नेपाल आइलिङ तपाईले यहाँ प्रेजेन्टेसन देखाएर चाहिँ हामी गम्भीर छलफलमा छौं भनेर भयो त छलफल हामी गर्छौं हामीलाई कसैको प्रेसर छैन हामीलाई जनताको प्रेसर
Gas dealers and consumer groups blame weak coordination between government agencies and suppliers, arguing that poor distribution planning has repeatedly created shortages.
किराना पसलमा पनि ग्यास राखेको छ तपाईको भाडा पसलमा पनि ग्यास राखेको छ चारबाट पनि सिलिन्डर राखेको छ रेलबाट पनि छैन हैन यसलाई समाधान गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर वास्तवमा चाहिँ सरकारले एउटा योजना बनाउनु पर्छ.
Officials, however, say consumer behavior is also contributing to the disruption. The Secretary of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Supplies claims some households are storing more gas than necessary, putting pressure on the supply chain.
एक्सप्लोसिभ चाहिँ एउटा प्रज्वलनशील पेट्रोलियम पदार्थ है त्यसको निम्तिदेखि लिएर त्यसका सुरक्षाका सबै विषयहरू भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ भोलि वितरणको अन्तिम पोइन्ट कहाँसम्म कसरी वितरित हुनुपर्छ त भन्ने विषयमा पनि एउटा मोडालिटी एउटा मेकानिजममा चाहिँ जानुपर्छ होला. निसन्देहले चाहिँ हामीले ग्यास रिफिल गर्यो बजारमा पठाएका छौँ हामीले राखेका छैनौँ भनेर मात्रै यसमा छुटो पाउने अवस्था छैन. मलाई हजुरहरूलाई मेरो अनुरोध पनि छ.
With demand, supply and public experience telling different stories, Nepal's recurring LPG crisis has become less about availability and more about how effectively the country manages distribution.
That was our cover story. Now, moving on to other updates, a resolution of urgent public importance related to the condition and management of landless, quarter and unorganized settler citizens has been presented in the House of Representatives today. The proposal by leader of the parliamentary party of the main opposition Nepali Congress, Bhishmaraj Angdembe, is seconded by CPN-UML Chief Whip Ain Bahadur Mahara, Bahar Nepali Communist Party Chief Whip Yuvraj Dulal and Shram Sanskriti Party Chief Whip Aren Rai. Leader Angdembe said that the resolution was brought seeking a common action plan for the immediate response. He demanded that the government make an integrated action plan public within 7 days. The proposal states that the government should submit a progress report to the concerned parliamentary committee every 15 days and update the House monthly until the problem is resolved. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah has held discussions with lawmakers from his ruling Rashtriya Swatantra Party RSP representing Sudur Pashchim province. During the meeting at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, lawmakers said the government had made notable progress in good governance and pledged to highlight its achievements in Parliament. The lawmakers also raised regional concerns, including Dhangari Khotia Dipayal fast track, electrification, management of the 300-bed hospital in Geta, stray cattle control, the Pancheswar and West Sethi hydropower projects, the Hulaki Road project, and issues faced by displaced communities in protected areas. The meeting was attended by several RSP lawmakers from Sudur Pashchim province. Nepal's finance minister has held talks with chief executives of commercial banks to discuss economic reforms, credit expansion, and challenges facing the banking sector. During the meeting, bankers urged the government to create a more investment-friendly environment, saying excess liquidity in banks should be directed toward productive sectors, including energy, tourism, information technology, and entrepreneurship. They also raised concerns over weak credit growth despite lower interest rates and called for a stable environment to encourage private sector activity. Finance Minister Swarnim Mogli said the government would examine why lending has remained slow despite historically low interest rates and work on measures to convert excess liquidity into investment and economic growth. Commercial banks currently hold around 1.5 trillion Nepali rupees in lendable funds, with expectations that improved investment conditions could support production and job creation. Foreign Minister Shishir Khanal has said the government is moving forward with the goal of achieving economic prosperity. Addressing a program organized by the Economic Diplomacy Division at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the minister emphasized that international assistance and trade are key foundations for economic prosperity. The minister highlighted the need to further expand Nepal's participation and benefits in the areas of international assistance and also trade. The program was attended by Bhagirath Bosneth, President of the Association of Former Career Ambassadors of Nepal, along with other members of the organization. On the occasion, former Foreign Secretary Gyan Chandra Acharya presented a paper on international assistance, while former Ambassador Deepak Dhital presented one on trade. Nepal government has said it plans to make official information sharing more transparent, organized and effective. Government spokesperson and Education and Sports Minister Sashmit Pokhrel held discussions with political reporters in Kathmandu today, highlighting the need for better coordination between government agencies and the media. The minister said the government would establish a more efficient system for providing official information and continue regular dialogue with journalists. The meeting also discussed challenges faced by reporters in accessing information and ways to strengthen communication between the government and the media. Landslides triggered by continuous rainfall have displaced 16 families in Falilung rural municipality of Panchthar district. 40 people from the affected families are now staying in relatives' homes and schools after their houses were damaged by landslides. Authorities said 41 more families are living under high risk of landslide, with some households requiring relocation. Local representatives said efforts are underway to move vulnerable residents to safer locations. Security agencies have been visiting high-risk areas and urging people to remain alert as rainfall continues. Falilung, a mountainous area with steep terrain, has repeatedly faced losses of life and also property due to floods and landslides during monsoon season. 2 nilgai, 12 spotted deer, a leopard, 2 turtles and 2 swans housed in a rescue center that itself needs rescuing. In Dhangari, the Shivapuri Wildlife Rescue Center, 4 years into a promised mini zoo upgrade, is still waiting on the government. Suveksha Rajak with local correspondent Sitaram Ojha brings a report.
The Shivapuri Wildlife Rescue Center sits inside the Shivapuri Community Forest in Ward No. 4 of Dhangari sub-metropolitan city, the provincial capital of Sudur Paschim. It was set up in 2020-21 through a joint effort between the Division Forest Office, Dhangari, and the Shivapuri Community Forest Users Group. Since then, the center has rescued, treated, and cared for injured and sick wildlife animals. But budget has not kept pace with the work. Infrastructure has stayed the same. Upgrades have not happened. Right now, the center is home to 2 nilgai, 12 spotted deer, 1 leopard, 2 turtles, and 2 swans. Some of the deer came from the Division Forest Office. Others were rescued from Godavari and the Chure region. Some were born at the center itself.
यो झन्डै 4 वर्षको अवधिमा स्थानीय सरकार र प्रदेश सरकारबाट कुनै किसिमको पनि यस उद्धार केन्द्रमा सहयोग भएको चाहिँ अवस्था छैन। यसमा चाहिँ सबै सरोकारवाला निकाय, स्थानीय सरकार र प्रदेश सरकारको चाहिँ सहयोग हुन आवश्यक देखिन्छ।
Shivapuri Community Forest Users Group, Dhangari Kailali, Chairperson Krishna Paneru says the center began under former Division Forest Office Chief Ramchandra Kandel with the rescue of injured deer. Since then, the community forest has run the center almost entirely on its own resources. The mini zoo plan itself dates back to the center's founding. Under the mayor Nripa Bahadur Ode, the vision was a picnic spot, a children's park and a mini zoo. 4 years on, that vision remains on paper. No government body has followed through. The Division Forest Office has supplied fencing and wire mesh, but support from other agencies has not arrived.
हामी यो वन्यजन्तुका बारेमा पढ्छौं, किताब विज्ञान छ। अब त्यो हेर्नका निमित्त हामीले या त सुगाबाट जानु पर्यो नजिकमा, नभए उता लुम्बिनी जानु पर्यो। सुदूरपश्चिममै यस्तो किसिमको चाहिँ एउटा जू सञ्चालन गर्ने भनेर सामुदायिक वनले आँट गरेर जाँदै गर्दाखेरि स्थानीय तहको, प्रदेश सरकारको र संघीय सरकार कुनै पनि किसिमको सहयोग हामीले पाएको अवस्था छैन।
Shivapuri Community Forest Users Group Thangadi Kailali Paneru says a properly developed center could become a research and study site for schools and colleges, a hub for wildlife conservation education. Feeding the animals is a daily struggle. The center needs more than a quintal of green grass, bananas and vegetable peels every day.
जनावरलाई चारोको आहारका निमित्त हामी केराको थाम भयो, अरू मकै भयो, चोकर भयो, अरू ढुटो भयो, यिनीहरू गाउँघरबाट अब केराको थामहरू ल्याउने र यिनीहरूलाई आहार पूर्ण रूपमा आहार दिनुपर्छ भनेर हामी चाहिँ लागिपरेका छौँ। र मकै भयो, गहुँ भटमास अब सबै चिज मिसाएर त्यो पनि दिने गरिरहेका छौँ। र अरू वेस्टेज गएको चाहिँ स्याउ, आलु, गाजर, मुला यिनीहरू चाहिँ मन्डीबाट वेस्टेज जान्छ, र हरियो सागपात तिनीहरू ल्याएर चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ खुवाउने गरिरहेका छौँ।
Locals say the potential is there for conservation, for education, for tourism, right in the heart of the provincial capital. What's missing is government priority. Until federal, provincial and local governments step in, the Shivapuri Wildlife Rescue Center will keep running on community goodwill alone. A rescue center that 4 years on is still waiting to be rescued itself. Until federal, provincial and local governments step in, the Shivapuri Wildlife Rescue Center will keep running on community goodwill alone. A rescue center that 4 years on is still waiting to be rescued itself. Subeksha Rajak Voice with local correspondent Sitaram Oja, NTV World.
International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal's Home Minister meets family of deceased in Tarai unrest. Investigation begins into events leading to Gol Bazar shooting. Nepal's southern plain faces rising water crisis as groundwater declines. Experts link the issue to climate change and resource exploitation. Cooking gas crisis triggers government action. High-level meeting reviews supply gaps and imports. South Korea battles record heat wave as death toll rises to 16. Capital Seoul under first severe heat warning. Israel and Lebanon hold new talks in Rome amid rising tensions. Trump presses Iran for agreement. And FIFA suspension threatens Nepal's football future. Players urge government action to restore international participation. Several warehouses linked to Russia's largest online retailer, Wild Berries, have been damaged in overnight strikes as Ukraine continues targeting sites it says are more connected to Moscow's war effort. Russia's officials confirmed that 2 Wild Berries facilities in St. Petersburg and Tver regions were hit. Another industrial site near Moscow was also damaged, with local authorities reporting at least 5 deaths and 10 injuries, although they did not confirm the site's ownership. Kyiv says some Wild Berries warehouses support Russian military supply networks, a claim Moscow denies. Russia's defense ministry says it intercepted and destroyed more than 300 Ukrainian drones overnight. Meanwhile, Russian strikes across Ukraine killed at least 4 people, according to Ukrainian authorities. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
25 U.S. states have filed a lawsuit against President Donald Trump's administration over a new round of tariffs imposed on dozens of countries. The tariffs, ranging from 10 to 12.5%, target trading partners including the United Kingdom, China, and the European Union. The U.S. administration says the measures were introduced because those countries have failed to adequately address the use of forced labor in their supply chains. White House spokesperson Kush Desai said Washington is using its lawful authority to protect American businesses from unfair trade practices. He added that countries failing to prevent the import of goods produced with forced labor are placing the unreasonable burden on the United States. The tariffs, which took effect in July, were imposed under Section 301 of the United States Trade Act of 1974, a law used to respond to unfair foreign trade practices. Saudi oil giant Aramco has reported a 44% year-on-year rise in second quarter net profit, driven by higher crude oil and natural gas prices. The increase followed heightened geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, which disrupted energy markets and pushed global oil prices higher. The strong earnings highlights Aramco's ability to benefit from favorable market conditions despite continued global economic uncertainty. Higher energy prices also boosted the company's cash flow, reinforcing its position as one of the world's most profitable energy producers. Analysts say ongoing geopolitical risk could continue to support oil prices in the near term, although global demand and broader economic conditions will remain key factors shaping future earnings. Analysts say ongoing geopolitical risk could continue to support oil prices in the near term, although global demand and broader economic conditions will remain key factors shaping future earnings.
Time now for sports update. FIFA's chief of global football development, Arsene Wenger, says scrapping the plan to have private investment in FIFA competitions was absolutely necessary and beyond question. FIFA's president Gianni Infantino planned to create a commercial subsidiary to run its main events, including its World Cups, with external investors able to buy stakes. Infantino had offered FIFA's 211 member associations $40 million each if they backed the proposal. But after days of criticism, including UEFA's 55 nations threatening to boycott all FIFA tournaments, Infantino was forced to withdraw the plan. Wenger has been in a role which encompasses data analysis of the game, FIFA's online training and youth competitions since 2019. The former Arsenal boss previously supported Infantino's proposal to play the Men's World Cup every 2 years. Time now for the weather updates, first from Nepal and then around the world. And before wrapping up, here's a look into the headlines once again. Nepal's Home Minister meets family of deceased in Tarai unrest. Investigation begins into events leading to Gol Bazar shooting. Nepal's southern plain faces rising water crisis as groundwater declines. Experts link the issue to climate change and resource exploitation. Cooking gas crisis triggers government action. High-level meeting reviews supply gaps and imports. South Korea battles record heat wave as death toll rises to 16. Capital Seoul under first severe heat warning. Israel and Lebanon hold new talks in Rome amid rising tensions. Trump presses Iran for agreement. And FIFA suspension threatens Nepal's football future. Players urge government action to restore international participation. That's it for this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. Do join us through our social media and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.